I'm just saying.
I'm a Mizzou alum, a Mizzou
Dude,
fan.
get over it, man.
No, this
last
is
year
scary.
last year was the get over it year. Last year when they didn't have those Missouri games, it was the get over it year. This
scared.
year's the buy in believe year. All right, they sold out. All right, another sellout. Eli Drinkwitz called for them to sell out. They did. The crowd is going to show up there. So we'll talk some college football today. We'll talk some NFL football today. Matt Lane, KC Sports Network, the KC Laboratory Podcast. We'll talk with him coming up at 11 o'clock. We will play some sports or leisure today, presented by Johnny's Tavern. We'll do that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. We got some college football questions, some local college football questions. We will go through our schedule predictions for the local teams. What is the record that we end up with the three local teams? We'll talk about that coming up in the noon hour. We'll certainly talk some Royals baseball today, and I said some Chiefs football. We are hanging out at Hollywood Casino, and they are getting you ready for the college football and the NFL season, as Hollywood Casino, one of the great spots to watch a game at the book and just enjoy all of the sights and sounds, the surroundings. You got the wall of TVs, you got the bar, you got being able to play some slot machines. You can walk right out and play some table games if you want to at halftime of whatever game or something. It's a fantastic spot to watch a game. And Sterling, you're pretty familiar with this place.
Oh yeah, dude, this is my spot. I've already talked to Easton. I said after the show, what am I going? I'm going directly to the blackjack table. Okay. The blackjack table.
Yeah, I saw you do that in Tahoe. That wasn't a great decision for you that night.
It was good in Vegas, bad in Tahoe,
yeah.
but I think here, it's every other.
Okay.
Every other. I'm going to bounce back. Okay, I'm bouncing back, and we're going to bounce back right here at Hollywood Casino, of course.
Okay. Today, from 11 a.m., an hour from now, until 4 o'clock p.m., the Penn Play members can place a minimum $20 wager on a single ticket at the ESPN bet counter to participate, and you get 2 tickets that you can then win different services, a $10 Penn Cash gift card that you can win as well, and a spot to watch the KU game right here at Hollywood Casino. They are going to have a free shuttle offered 2 hours before and 1 hour after the KU game, located at Hollywood's main entrance right near the drop-off. You receive 1 ticket to redeem at the promo area between 11 a.m. and 4:15 for a piece of the ESPN Bet merch while supplies last only. You get 1 ticket to drop into the drum of your choice between 11 a.m. and 4:15. If you come in, Penn Play members place a $20 wager on a single ticket. You get to drop a ticket that you can redeem when you show them this $20 ticket that you have placed a wager on. And you get a chance to win select sports memorabilia, a signed Isaiah Pacheco jersey, a Bobby Witt autographed picture, Bill Self KU Jayhawks 2022 National Championship autographed basketball, 1,000 Penn bonus play. You can drop your ticket into the drum of your choice to win one of those prizes, those 4 different prizes, but you got to place the bet between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. today only. A $20 wager, single ticket at the ESPN bet counter to participate.
Do you think I'm waiting until 11 or something? Do you think I have a countdown on my phone right now?
I don't think you do.
We are 49 minutes away.
See, I don't think you have a countdown because you'll be here from 11 to 2, so at any point in a break, you could probably, when we're talking to Matt Lane or something.
When you're talking to Matt Lane, if you think I'm not going and putting $20 on a single ticket right here.
No, I think you are,
I'm gonna get my ESPN bet merch, and then I'm gonna drop a ticket, and I'm not gonna lie, I might throw it in, I might put it in the $1,000 pin bonus play here.
Okay.
I might do it. $1,000 can last a long time. Like for me, a week.
So let's say you don't win one of those 4 prizes.
Yeah.
It's over, right? You don't get anything else?
Yeah.
It's over? You're done? You don't win one of those 4 prizes?
Well, I would have hit my $20 bet, though.
But
I'm still a winner.
But here's the thing. If you don't win one of those 4 prizes, it actually isn't over. Because all Penn Play members that participated in the promo can come back to the property on Sunday, September 8th, between 5 a.m. and noon. It's the first day of the NFL Sunday. NFL Sunday.
That's midnight.
5 a.m. to, I said 11:59 p.m.
Yeah,
11:59 p.m. So 5 a.m. I was thinking the first string of games, but no, 5 a.m. to midnight on September 8th. If you participate in the promo today, you can come back and claim a $20 pin slot play, table play, or sports play bonus back bounce back bonus if you don't win one of those 4 prizes. So you come down here, you place your $20 wager. You can win the wager.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly that is a possibility. For you, probably not. And then you show them this ticket that you purchased, the $20 single ticket at the ESPN Bet kiosk, and you can drop that ticket that they give you into one of those 4 barrels, one of those 4 drums to win one of the 4 prizes. Even if you win or you don't win, you come back on September 8th, 5 a.m. to midnight, and you get a $20 pin, slot play, table play, or sports play bounce back bonus. So many ways you can win 3 different ways. Your ticket, one of these autographed sports memorabilia, and also the $20 pin, slot play, table play, or the bounce back bonus. So all you got to do between 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock today is come up here, place a $20 single ticket wager, and you receive that opportunity to win those things and get that $20 bounce back bonus. So there you go. 913-912-4810, 913-912-4810. You heard a little Andy Reid, a little Patrick Mahomes there with America's Game, September 4th, 7 o'clock on NFL Network, narrated by Paul Rudd. God, what a great Kansas Citian.
Awesome, dude.
We have some badass local celebrities that continue to come back and embrace and celebrate the city. I mean, Ted freaking Lasso.
Yes.
Is from Kansas City and loves Kansas City, goes to KU games, Chiefs games. I mean, Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Ant-Man. All right?
The
Ant-Man. The sexiest man in the world.
I believe it, too.
A couple years ago, right? Wasn't Paul Rudd the sexiest man in the world?
Yeah, he won that. Yeah, way better than Blake Shelton. Blake Shelton was like the joke one, and then we got to get this right.
Well, then Jason Kelce.
Yeah, then Jason Kelce.
Right.
But
and then also Elvis Gerback.
I will say this, too, just small tidbit. I've been lucky enough to see Paul and Jason every single year, and they're just as nice as you could hope they could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just incredible people. It's not just a persona. It's not just I'm going to look good for the cameras.
Yep.
They truthfully love Kansas City.
Yes.
They love coming back here. They love raising money. They love the community. And there is something to that. It's not just a
Wriggle, Stone Street.
Yes,
like, there's
all those
so many
guys.
of them.
It's
now
not,
Heidi.
It's
I mean,
not
she's
just coming
awesome.
back because they feel like they're obligated to. It's
Yeah.
because they want to. And there's a difference there. And so I just think that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
They care about the community here.
That is coming up September 4th. That's a week from yesterday, so 6 days from now. 7 o'clock Wednesday night, NFL Network is when America's Game, the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm told there will be no mention of Taylor Swift. I'm joking. That's not true. Of course there's going to be some Taylor Swift. And, oh, boy, people are – I'm just trying to watch my America's Game, and I'm getting bombarded with Taylor Swift stuff here. I mean, I love America's Game, and I'm going to watch America's Game 2023 Kansas City Chiefs on the NFL Network. I was just trying to watch America's Game. I love Ant-Man. I love the Marvel series. I want to see Paul Rudd. I love Clueless.
Jason, how are you seeing my drafts on Twitter? Like, I don't know how you're seeing what I was already going to tweet next week. So
bombarded with Taylor Swift stuff.
Hey, yeah. I am team. It's their personal life. It should be personal, right?
That's right, yeah.
It's their personal life,
yes.
Okay? I don't need to know everything
absolutely.
about what their personal life is.
And the next night, the Chiefs will go for 3 straight Super Bowls. KUMU tonight. Kansas State in action coming up on Saturday against Tennessee Martin at 6 o'clock. KU and K-State on ESPN+. Mizzou tonight on SEC Network. But, of course, KU right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk about the practice squad members of the Kansas City Chiefs. Bailey Zappi is signing with the Chiefs practice squad. That'll round out their practice squad players. They had 15 as of last night and or late afternoon. 16 now. There are some things to take away from that. But let's start with the Kansas City Royals. They lose Game 4 against the Cleveland Guardians. And that's a game certainly that will hurt because they had every opportunity to leave Cleveland with a 4-game sweep. I think Jack told us late 70s was the last time Kansas City went to Cleveland and swept a 4-game series. So late 70s, it's still the late 70s because they did not do that. but they had an opportunity to sweep a 4-game series against the Guardians yesterday. Michael Wacha was good, got around some trouble a couple innings, didn't give up a whole lot of hard hit balls. 91 pitches, goes back out there for the 7th, which we'll talk about, and it did not work out. Lucas Erceg has been the fireman, and we have said for the last week and a half, couple of weeks, unfortunately, we know there's going to be a game where he doesn't come through. He is not a cyborg. He is not a robot. He is not unhittable. All right, there will be a game where he just simply, the balls, either he gets hit hard one day, or he's not locating, or there will be some soft hit Texas leaguers, some dying quails that'll happen, and just one of those, hey, it's baseball, those things take place. It sucks that it was against the Guardians, but it was the game that we talked about that Erceg was going to have a game at some point where he just was not unhittable and invincible, and that was yesterday. They do not win Game 4. I am a firm believer of the order in which wins happen to change how you feel about certain things.
Sure.
The Royals waking up today, a game back, would be in the exact same position if they lost the Cole Reagans game, the first game of the doubleheader on Monday early afternoon, and then won the next 3. It would be the exact same spot they're in right now, getting ready for the Houston Astros in a 4-game set and only 1 game back of Cleveland. But my goodness, how much better would we feel today? It's just I don't think this Royals team, I do believe that they live by the mantra, one day, one day, one day. Yesterday was yesterday, today is today. I think that has served them well this year. And I think they will have that same mantra heading to Houston for tonight.
Sure.
So I don't think it matters for them. But maybe for the fan base, knowing that it was right there, a 3-run lead with 9 outs to go, to walk out of Cleveland all alone in first place with a one game separation and the tiebreaker over the Guardians, and feeling great and keeping the Guardians sort of spiraling, feeling like, oh my God, we're blowing it, and that pressure starts to mount. That was a huge 7th inning for the Guardians. It was huge for the Royals, obviously. I think in maybe an overly dramatic way, boy, this could change the course of the rest of the season by losing that game. It's a 2-game swing. You're 1 game back or 1 game up. You're up 5-2. You protect a 3-run lead with 3 innings to go. And you still haven't used Erceg in a couple of days. Man, this could be awesome. And now you're 1 game out instead of 1 game up. That's crucial. I think, and maybe this goes hand in hand, I think the 7th inning was bigger for Cleveland than it was for the Royals.
Yes.
Because Cleveland was heading towards a tailspin. Losing, getting swept by the Royals at home would have been disaster for them. Starting that series with a 3-game lead and leaving a game out of first place at your home ballpark would have been disastrous. So maybe it goes hand in hand that it changes sort of the course, or could, in an overly dramatic way, change the course of the season for the Royals, because if it meant that much to Cleveland, then that means maybe they start playing a little bit better baseball, or they feel like, okay, we pulled ourselves up off the mat and we bounced back, we fought back. We are not going quietly into the dark night. We are ready to play some baseball again. We know we're a good team. Let's go show it, okay? Maybe that's the mantra there in Cleveland. I don't know. But sometimes the order of wins means a lot, and we've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
Like if they win Game 1 against Minnesota and then win the next 2, you probably feel worse than they got beat down by Minnesota 2 games, and then Cole Reagans bounce back as a stopper, and you get the win. You're like, all right, you avoided the sweep. All right, okay, you lost 2 or 3 to the Twins, but you didn't get swept at home. Okay, you head into the next game. So for some reason, that sort of feeling coming out of a series as opposed to starting the series, depending on if you win or lose. It is a huge test for the Royals this weekend. Houston and the Royals, Astros and Royals, KC, Houston, they are the 2 hottest teams, the best records in baseball since the All-Star break, and now they are matching up. It could be a playoff preview of a divisional round series if the Royals win the division and the Houston Astros win their division. If whoever between the Royals or the Astros has the 2 or 3 seed, if that 3 seed wins their series against the wild card, that other wild card team will be playing the Yankees, and then the winner of the Houston Astros and that wild card team, whatever. But if it's the Houston Astros, we'll be playing the Royals. Or if the Royals win, they'll be playing Houston.
Sure.
I don't think the Royals are going to catch the Yankees or the Orioles. It's going to come down to if the Royals win the division, they need one, or not win the division, but if the Royals win the division and get a bye in the playoffs, they need at least one win against Houston in these 4 games to take the season series.
Sure.
So a tiebreaker would go to Kansas City for the bye. That's a crucial tiebreaker. You're talking about not having to play a 3-game series against a wild card team and getting a bye versus now you got to beat a wild card. You got to win 2 of 3 using your bullpen, using your best pitchers, no off day between the end of the season and Monday's wild card game starting. That tiebreaker is huge. Go win 2 of 4. Oh, I feel good.
Yeah.
You split the series against Houston. I feel real good about whoever wins the Central will have the number 2 seed. And that's crucial. I think this could be, and maybe is, a playoff preview, this series against Houston. It's how crucial and how big it is for the Royals.
Yeah, it's obviously a massive series, and you're hoping, as bad as yesterday was, including, again, I think it was a poor job by Q. I said at the time, so I
a lot of people first guess. So that is the one thing I'll take away. There wasn't a lot of second guessing in Monday morning quarterbacking because when Waka came out, there was a lot immediately on Twitter of I'm not putting Waka back out there for the 7th.
91 pitches. He got you through 6.
Yeah.
At that point, you just take your medicine, saying, "All right, you've had your bullpen throw a lot of innings. I get that, but your best pitcher, Lucas Ursig, has been rested. You expect that he can go out for 2. So at that point, I actually probably wouldn't have put Ursig in for the 7th. But now you are forced to almost because of a situation of Waka getting torched.
Yeah.
I would have just. I wouldn't have gone Stratton for the 7th, but I would have found a way to piece it together and had Ursig go 2. This game meant so much. For both teams, of course. Again, I do think it meant more for Cleveland than the Royals. You go 3-1 in Cleveland. You've won the season series. That's massive. That's huge, right? But it's almost just the cherry on top, if you will. And I thought it was, quite frankly, a poor job from Hugh in a game where through 6 innings, you felt like you had it in the bag. You had Cleveland reeling, and then you let them off the hook. You got cocky. You're trying to save the bullpen. You're trying to do a little too much and say, Waka, go out for the 7th. You go out there and try it again. We all knew what was going to happen at that point. I think Waka knew what was going to happen at that point. He didn't have it anymore. He was laboring in that 6th. I just thought it was important.
He gave up what the hit by pitch, the double, worked around it, only gave up 3 or 4 quote-unquote hard hit balls in the game. But again, 91 pitches. This to me felt like the way the Royals took advantage of the Padres series, in that coming back on that Friday night and almost winning it, making Roberto Suarez come out on Friday night. Saturday, the Royals were down by 4, and manager of the Padres, I always forget his name, said, bleep that, we're not taking a chance. We're putting Suarez in the game because we're going to go ahead and save this thing. I'm not getting into the situation from last night. Mike Shield, not getting into the situation from last night. We're throwing Suarez, which meant that Suarez was not available on Sunday. And Suarez not being available on Sunday, they put somebody in to close, and the Royals had to come back win against the Padres. When you've got Reagans and Lorenzen go a combined 5 2/3, when you're playing 4 games in 3 days, and 2 of your starters give you a combined 5 2/3, that last game, you might be trying to piece it together. I think the plan was Waka for the 7th, Urseg 8 and 9.
Sure.
Which is why I think it took 3 batters before Q went out and got him. Because the home run, I think at that point Q said, let's get Urseg up.
Yeah.
Let's get him starting. And it took a little time to get him warm. And by the time he was warm, 2 guys had already gotten on. It wasn't like it was a 10-pitch at bat or 11-pitch at bat or something. It was single, line drive. All right, let's get Urseg in the game. The plan was, can we limp even if we give up a run or 2 with Waka? Can I get him through 7, and then Urseg rested? I'll pitch him 8 and 9, and we'll get the hell out of here with a 4-game sweep. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way because he was going to throw Urseg for 2 innings.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to throw him for 2 innings in the 7th and the 8th and then have somebody that is a low-leverage pitcher come in for the 9th. Because he said after the game, MacArthur, Schreiber, and Long were unavailable.
Sure.
They had pitched so much, those guys were not pitching yesterday. They were told before the game, unavailable, you're not pitching, okay? I don't know what they would have done if they went into extras or whatever. I know that extra is a little different now with the man on second base, which is what the Major League Baseball trying to avoid, is having these long games. He also said he wasn't comfortable going to Bubic or Daniel Lynch. I would have been comfortable going to Lynch. I would not have been comfortable going to Stratton. Okay?
Yeah.
I would have been comfortable going to Lynch because he hasn't pitched since Monday. And he pitched 3 innings, but that was Monday. It was a couple days ago. You have a day off. Is he a reliever or not? So that didn't make a whole lot of sense in saying he wasn't comfortable going to Bubic or Lynch. Because if you were trying to get through the 7th and you didn't have which I think he had full confidence in Waka, because Waka's been really good for this team.
Sure.
I understand the thought process. I was in the minority yesterday, and I was wrong. I was in the minority of saying I'm good with Waka going out there, but I want Urseg ready. I want Urseg to start to slowly warm up for the 8th and 9th. But he needs to come on if a couple guys get on. I'm giving him 2 batters. And if the 2 batters reach, Urseg's coming in. But I'm letting Urseg start to get warm, all right? The plan is for you in the 8th, Urseg, but I need you starting to get warm just in case in the 7th. I wouldn't have had him face the 3rd batter. I wouldn't have had him face, was it Jimenez, the 3rd batter, because it was 9-1-2. So Quan, the second hitter, and then Jimenez. I wouldn't have had him face Jimenez, who had also a line drive single. I would have had Urseg in there, nobody on, 1 out, Stephen Quan at first. That's sort of splitting the difference, I guess. But my strategy would have been, I'm putting Waka out there, and if he can get me through, this is the plan. This is great. But I need Urseg to start to get warm just in case, because Waka's already at 90 pitches, and it's going to be the 4th time through the order.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure the top of the lineup is going to be the 4th time through the order. 4th time he saw Quan, 4th time he saw Jimenez, and those guys hit line drives right off him. Yeah. Naylor, first pitch, gone. I understand the thought process. It didn't work, so it was wrong. It was the wrong decision because it didn't work. That's being a manager in Major League Baseball. That's cashing the check. You like cashing the check? This is what comes with it. You make some right decisions. You make some decisions that were wrong. Maybe if he went to Daniel Lynch, he still would have gotten hit around. True. Maybe if he went to Urseg, it would have been one of those games to where soft contact falls in. I mean, Naylor's 77-mile-an-hour hit off Urseg. That sucks. The Brennan one is the one that really stings. Really stings. It's 100 mile an hour off the end of the bat. That goes 69 miles an hour a foot over Bobby Witt's glove in short center field. And the tying run scores. Noel, 75 miles an hour.
Was that the one that dropped just in front of
MJ Melendez?
Yeah.
If it was 77 miles an hour like Noel's, MJ catches it.
Yeah.
So the 77 mile an hour, 69 mile an hour, 75 mile an hour, those were the hits against Urseg that put him within 1, tied the game, and then gave him the lead.
And that's baseball.
Absolutely. And that's what we talked about Urseg. He's going to get hit. Maybe it's not hard hit, but there's going to be a game where he doesn't come through.
But it also would have helped if he's starting an inning and not,
You're not wrong.
Again, having to try and clean up.
You're not wrong. So I'm sort of curious, if he comes out for the 7th and the 8th, what do you do in the 9th? Do you just hope that he has, quick innings? Or what do you do in the 9th at that point?
He's not going for 3, in my opinion.
So you would go like Daniel Lynch?
I would go Daniel Lynch.
Or Bubic or something?
Or Bubic. You'd have to. I mean,
I wouldn't go Carlos Hernandez.
No. But
although Carlos Hernandez pitched the day before for 2 innings, so he wasn't available either. Now that I look at it, I wrote Hernandez down next to MacArthur, Schreiber, and Long. So all 4 of them, Q said, were unavailable.
Again, what I saw from Waka.
They also had Cruz. That was called up.
I would have maybe thrown him in the 7th. Then I would have gone any other way. Again, hindsight. But this is what I said.
But you said it at the time. So
in the moment, I was like, I'm pulling Waka. I don't care if it's an inexperienced guy. I would take my chance then let Waka go through what's the 4th time through the lineup, the top of the lineup, and again.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if we flip them, if Lorenzen's injured on Tuesday, and the bullpen doesn't come through, and you sort of wave the white flag if you're Quattrero,
sure,
and you go, we'll deal with Wednesday, and you've got your bullpen ready to go in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, and you win that game. You go, well, it sucks that Lorenzen got hurt. You tried to get through there with guys that aren't leverage situations. Cleveland was probably going to get one somewhere. You took 3 of 4 of the series. You feel good about it.
Oh, I'm still thrilled about the overall
I know.
message.
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying, like, the bullpen came through on Tuesday to bail out Lorenzen.
They did their job.
They were unavailable on Wednesday because Q said, I'm worrying about today.
And
I'll worry about
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yep.
But it was the wrong decision in the 7th with limited options.
Correct.
I would say wrong decision with limited options. If he'd gone to somebody else in the 7th, they might not have come through either.
True.
They might have. If he went Urseg 7 and 8 and said, I'll figure out 9 later, because while I'm saying I'll figure out tomorrow, this is 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 7 and 8.
Yep.
And if anybody gets on, then maybe the 9th is going to be 7, 8, 9. So I'll worry about the 9th and the 9th. I'll get 7 and 8 in the bulk of their order with Urseg out there.
Yeah.
That would have made sense too.
Yeah.
But if somebody came out for the 9th and they blew it, then it would have been, well, couldn't you have found a way? You had a 3-run lead. Couldn't you have found a way to get through the 7th? Could you have pieced the 7th together? Why not put Walk out there for the 7th? I mean, he only had 91 pitches, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes with the territory. It's part of being a major league manager. And he's still a manager of a team that is 1 game out, that is 5.5 games up in the wild card, and is still a 90% chance of making the playoffs and still a 33% chance of winning the division, even after yesterday. I think they'd be 50% if they won yesterday, honestly. And Buster only this morning on Border Patrol picked the Royals to win the division.
Let's go, Buster.
Steven asked him, said, Buster, who wins the division?
Let's go, Buster.
And he said, I'm going with the Royals. The Royals pitching is at a level right now that is more stable than what Cleveland and Minnesota is.
Yeah.
And he said, difficult schedule for the Royals, but their starting staff is more stable than Cleveland's guys that can't get to 5 and Minnesota that's sort of on fumes and Joe Ryan out. This was the part of at the beginning of the season we talked about Shane Bieber. And I was like, people weren't picking Cleveland to win the division. All right, it was Minnesota, and then the 2 sexy picks were Royals and Tigers.
Yeah.
Right? It was Minnesota, Royals, and Tigers were the main people picking to win the Central. Not a lot of Cleveland. But when Shane Bieber went down, we talked about it and said, let's keep an eye on this because that's 1 less pitcher for Cleveland. That is 30 games this year that they will not have Shane Bieber out there on the mound.
Yeah.
30 games in the course of a season is crucial if you're trying to win a division. So maybe this kills Cleveland. And then, of course, Cleveland takes the 10-game lead in the division, but now it's killing them. Yeah. Now it is coming back to haunt them. How many starts does Cole Reagans have so far this year? What's he at, 21, 22? Thinking off the top of my head, 20.
He's got more than that.
Does he have more than that? Yeah. I'm just thinking pacing for 31, 32. So pitching,
he's
starts.
At 27.
He's got 27 starts, Reagans does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him and Lugo, 27.
Great.
Brady Singer, 26.
Exchange whatever guy in the rotation for Cleveland, 27 starts of Shane Bieber. Where's Cleveland at? Are the Royals close to him? I don't know. Because you're also resting your bullpen when Shane Bieber's going 7 and 8 innings and not having a guy who's replaced Shane Bieber going 5 innings. So that was a huge deal. Joe Ryan for the Twins, huge deal. One of the reasons why Buster said, I'm picking the Royals. Not just that he's on in Kansas City. He's picked other things against the Royals before, but he looked at the starting staff and said they're more stable right now than the Guardians and the Twins. I think it's the Royals that end up winning the Central. I'm not as confident, but I like hearing Buster say that.
It gives me confidence.
Exactly. My confidence that was leaking like oil yesterday afternoon after the game and going, all right, I don't know if Cleveland wins the division, but I'm worried that it's not going to be the Royals. Maybe it's Minnesota. I know they're 2.5 games up, but Minnesota doesn't have as difficult of a schedule the rest of the way. The Royals struggle against the Twins. They got 3 games next weekend against Minnesota, so I don't even know what to think. You start to be a worrier, man. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. I do want to talk a little bit about this series with Houston, the pitching matchups, and then the Chiefs. I want to get into more about Samaje Perine. Seth Kaiser did a deep dive into Perine, looked at, I think it was like 200 snaps yesterday, 200 snaps from Perine last year with the Broncos and then a little bit of Bengals. Certainly we remember him with the Bengals. And then I want to talk about a couple of guys that unfortunate waiver claims and then the claims that the Chiefs put in, which sort of goes to show what they're searching for. We'll do that as we continue to roll along. 913-912-4810. I want to look at some of the texts here in the break that are coming in. And then we'll talk with Matt Lane at 11 o'clock. And, of course, we'll play some sports or leisure today. We continue rolling along. We're at Hollywood Casino today telling you more about what we're doing here next. the 9.5, 8.5, 9.5. K-State and Mizzou 9.5, KU 8.5 in the over/under. What a difference a couple of years make. What a difference a couple of years make. We were talking about with Mick Schaefer a couple of Sundays ago, because Sunday Sound Off, I'll be on there this Sunday. So 2 Sundays ago on Sunday Sound Off, we set the over/under wins for the 3 of them at 27.5, adding up all 3 over/unders.
So it's
right?
8.5, 8.5,
9.5, 9.5, 8.5.
Yep. Oh, wow, yeah.
So it's 27.5 if you add them all up. Are we going over/under on that, right? And so we did that question on Sunday Sound Off, and then Mick was texted back. He was like, 2 years ago, I looked it up. 2 years ago, we set the number at 15. It's true. I mean, think about it a couple of years ago, because it was Lance Leipold's first year. Eli Drinkwitz was like, what's he going to be? And it was like 15. Yeah. 10 from or 9 from K-State. And then is Missouri going to get to 6? And then is KU going to win a game, right? Or 2 or 3, whatever it might be. I can't remember what particular year that was, but he went back and looked. It might have been 3 years ago that it was 15. But
well, heck, even last year, I wonder what it was. It would have been low 20s because Mizzou was probably around 6 or 7 because it was. Yeah,
I'll try to make a note to look that up before we do that at noon, what the last year's preseason over-unders were for the teams. I think they all hit the over. Whatever it might have been. 913-912-4810 is the text line. A couple of texts coming in. Text says, I'd feel better about that. We're talking about the stability of the Royals starters that Buster Olney was talking about as opposed to the Guardians and the Twins.
Yeah.
Text says, I'll feel better about that with a couple quality starts from Reagans and no lingering leg injury. Touche. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a good point. Left with cramps on Monday, and he's going on Saturday. He'll be pitching on Saturday. Hopefully it was just cramps. Not a big deal. But the pitching matchup, you can make we made a case on Monday that the pitching matchup was in favor of the Royals with the Guardians, and it was. Unfortunately, they got an injury with Lorenzen, and then Reagans just didn't have it that day. Just couldn't find the control. But they had the pitching matchup there. Tex says, when I said that Urseg is not a cyborg, he says, so you mean he's not Wade Davis?
That was my first thought,
80%
too.
Wade Davis? 80%, 75% Wade Davis? 80% Wade? I don't know. Waiter, check, please. You gots to go. Tex comes in and says, do you know when and if the Chiefs put out a depth chart for the first game? Curious about how much Juju and Samaje will play. That'll be next week. They'll put out the game notes. Well, actually, it's sort of like the Monday of game week, Monday or Tuesday of game week, and the depth chart is on there. So maybe that'll be Saturday or Sunday that may come out with the game notes. But I would guess Samaje will be listed as the 3rd or 4th running back. Or maybe he's the 2nd running back, and they list Carson Steele as a fullback. But I think if you're looking at depth chart, it is absolutely Pacheco and Steele.
Yeah.
And then P. Ryan. P. Ryan doesn't know the offense yet. He doesn't know the checks. He doesn't know the verbiage yet. Okay, so you're not going to put him in and play a bunch of snaps against the Ravens when there might be blitzes or pass protection that he has to stay in for, and you don't want Patrick Mahomes calling a check at the line of scrimmage and then whispering to Samaje what he has to do.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need to be worrying about that. I think as the season goes on, you'll see him more and more. He's in the Jerick McKinnon role, but he's not Jerick McKinnon. If it was McKinnon, he could come right in and play because he knows the offense.
Sure.
Samaje's played in Cincinnati and Denver. Maybe there's some things that can translate, but he's not coming from Jacksonville. If he was coming from Jacksonville, I'd feel a little bit better about Samaje playing more reps on that Thursday night.
And again, because of Doug Peterson. But I am thrilled that Samaje can no longer hurt us. I am
100%.
Thrilled that Samaje can no longer hurt the Chiefs
100%.
and hurt my feelings. It's that double win, right? You get a good player, and he can no longer hurt you.
That's right. That's a good point. I found it very easy to root against Joe Mixon for obvious reasons. So when he played for the Bengals, it was like, I don't like that guy, right? Samaje Perine, I'm like, I hate that he's killing the Chiefs, but I love his game. It's like, God, I really like his game. I'm envious to a degree of Samaje Perine being on the Bengals because he would kill the Chiefs. And it's like, damn, I want that guy on the Chiefs to be a third down back. And McKinnon was just fine. McKinnon was good. So it wasn't that I didn't want McKinnon, but I just respected what Samaje Perine brought. And when the Bengals moved on from Perine, he was a guy last year that Josh and I talked about, should the Chiefs go out and get if McKinnon has lost a step?
Sure.
Do they go and get Samaje Perine, figure out a way to acquire him because the Bengals aren't paying him? So do you go and bring him in? He went to Denver. I'm like, well, all right, maybe he's going to get more of an opportunity with Pacheco, Edwards-Helaire, maybe bringing back McKinnon, less of an opportunity. He's going to go there, and Javonte Williams with his knee injury and still coming back from that, Jaleel McLaughlin, and then you got Samaje Perine looking at more opportunity. Okay, I guess that makes sense. But we talked about it last year, getting Samaje Perine. So I'm with you. I absolutely love that he can no longer hurt the Chiefs, and he can only help the Chiefs. Real quick before we take a break, pitching matchup for the Royals and Astros. This is the Astros' advantage, I believe. And not even I believe. This is an Astros advantage for the pitching matchup this weekend. The way that it was for the Royals against the Guardians.
Yeah.
It's Singer and Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown's figured it out. And Singer, another big game and a tough team. A hot team.
I think that they're closer to equals than a. I think it's a slight edge.
Well, here's why I give the edge to Houston is Hunter Brown and Brady Singer. I'll take Hunter Brown because Singer in these big games he's continued to struggle.
Sure.
And Hunter Brown has figured it out, and now he's got a 3. I mean, the ERAs are roughly the same. It's just we've watched Singer closely and know that his ERA gets inflated against teams like the Astros. Lugo and Framber Valdez. Lugo needs to bounce back.
Yeah.
Framber Valdez is pitching like the Framber Valdez that we've known the last couple of years, and that sucks.
Yeah, because he's very good.
And at the beginning of the year, he was not. He was struggling.
Yeah.
And so he's now turned back into Framber Valdez, so that sucks.
And he's one of the few guys that can give you 8 or 9 innings fairly consistently. You'll look at him, and you're like, oh, he went 8 innings again? He went 9 innings again? Yeah, that's Framber Valdez.
Reagans and Kikuchi on Saturday. Kikuchi that they acquired from the Blue Jays. There might be 20 strikeouts between those two guys, both strikeout pitchers. But that's a big one, so let's see how Reagans bounces back from a tough game where he didn't have it, couldn't find his breaking stuff, and then left with cramps. How does he bounce back in Houston against Kikuchi, who was their big acquisition? Sure. And then Sunday is Ronel Blanco that's got a no-hitter against Alec Marsh.
Yeah.
So that's why I give the advantage is because I think they have 2 games in their favor, tonight and Sunday, and then you can maybe split Friday, Saturday with Lugo and Reagans. The Royals would have to have advantage in both of those, which I don't think they have the full advantage in both of those. It might be ties in both of those. So I give the 4-game overall to Houston and the starters, but the difference of the Royals this year and last year is we're having a conversation about are the Royals starters in this series on the level with Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, Ronel Blanco, and Yusei Kikuchi for the Astros.
And I'm excited for Singer to have another opportunity. I think he actually pitched
I'm less
well.
excited for it.
Well, no, but I think
it was a tough luck.
It was a tough luck loss
right.
last time, and he keeps having opportunities to change the narrative. Let's see if he can finally do it. I thought he pitched actually very well his last time out. Got unlucky, and I'm not typically a guy who's going to say that very often. Reagans, I want to see bounce back. Lugo he's struggled, man. There's no other way of putting it. It does look like the innings are starting to catch up to him. Maybe not, but we'll see in this one. I mean,
Friday night, tomorrow night would be a great night for him to show he's the old Lugo.
And what's hard, and again for Brady Singer too, there's a lot of really good lefties in the Houston offense, and Yordan Alvarez has been maybe the most underrated hitter this year. Everyone understands how good he is, but everyone's talking about Judge and Bobby Witt Jr. and then Shohei Ohtani. People forget, I think, about how good Yordan Alvarez is.
He's amazing.
Batting .311, 28 home runs, slugging .564, getting on base at a .400 clip. I mean, he's
a stud, man.
He's that guy.
And Diaz is playing some good baseball right now, and Altuve's having his regular season. They got and unfortunately Bregman's now playing much better than he did
first
most
half
of the
season.
He
was
awful.
So bad. I dropped him in fantasy baseball. I traded him for Royce Lewis, who was injured. I go, just get him off my team. Give me someone.
Right.
I'll trade for a guy who's going to play in 50 games. Just get Bregman. And then of course now Bregman's
crushing.
Raking.
Yep. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back hanging out at Hollywood Casino. Sterling will tell you a little bit more about that. We continue rolling along. More Zone next. About 3 minutes is your opportunity to place a $20 wager on a single ticket. Minimum, could be more, but a minimum $20 wager on a single ticket at the ESPN bet counter, and you can participate in this pin cash play. It's from today at 11 o'clock until 4. You can then receive 2 tickets. You're going to print that at a kiosk, and you can get a ticket to redeem between 11 a.m. and 4:15. A piece of the ESPN Bet merch that you can get with 1 ticket. The other ticket you're going to drop into one of 4 drums that they are going to be doing a drawing for: a Pacheco autographed jersey, Bobby Witt autographed picture, Bill Self National Championship autographed basketball. So it's between 11 a.m. to 4 o'clock today to place that $20 wager here at Hollywood Casino. Matt Lane next. the better opportunity you get the stuff. And if you're here early, then you will get some merch. The other one you put into
football last week. We got some going on tonight, and we are 7 days and a couple hours away from the Chiefs taking the field. Like, it's thing now.
Dude, this is an unbelievable time to be around here. Just an unbelievable time. The Royals are, even with the loss yesterday, only a game back in the division, 90% chance of making the playoffs. I mean, October in this town would be Chiefs, Mizzou, KU, K-State, and the Royals all competing for championships. I mean,
it's going. It is going right now. It's what a
ridiculous,
time.
Man.
What a year.
Ridiculous, man. Well, okay, so we are no longer
for the 53-man roster. But your thoughts on the yes, that's right. You know what? The NFL, they just love the Chiefs so much they're letting them cheat. The referees, the league, everybody's in on the Chiefs cheating. They get to keep an extra player. But what do you make of this 53-man?
Overall, I don't think there was any surprises for what I kind of anticipated seeing the Chiefs 53-man roster, and it seemed that way going into it. It seemed like there was like a pretty confident and like 45 to 49 guys that you knew were going to be on this team, and even the last couple slots were we had pretty good indications that guys like Chris Roland Wallace, who had a really good performance in camp and in the preseason games, had kind of climbed his way to being the second string, I guess, depending on how you want to slot Najee Johnson and Trent McDuffie, but like the second string slot cornerback, or Ethan Driscoll kind of outplaying Lucas Niang a little bit and playing both on the left and right-hand side. So I don't really think there was any surprises. It was nice to see some of these young guys make the roster, but overall it was pretty much what you thought you were going to see, especially after they signed Juju Smith-Schuster. I just think it made pretty clear that, you know, the Kadarius Tonys, Justin Rosses, Nico Remigio's, all those guys' jobs going to be a lot harder to get on the team. So no real surprises from the 53-man roster, just a couple nice young guys that I think made it at that were not surprising but deserved it.
Yeah, there was a lot of reaction and I think some frustration from fans when it was announced that I had reported that Nico Remigio was being released by the Chiefs and was got a lot of reaction on Twitter because it meant that Sky Moore made the team. And I think part of maybe they don't believe Sky Moore is better than Nico Remigio. I don't know. I think they do. But part of it is Sky Moore ain't clearing waivers. Nico Remigio did. So you got both by releasing Remigio and keeping Sky Moore. That's also, right, Matt, that's also got to be part of the thought process with the Chiefs as to who can we get on the practice squad and who do we know will not clear waivers. Sky Moore is not clearing waivers. Even if you don't think he's as good as the draft position that he was at, he's good enough to be one of 6 or 7 wide receivers on a team in the NFL for a 53-man roster. And so I know people were upset that Sky Moore made the squad, but I think that's also part of the thought process by the Chiefs.
Well, for Sky Moore in particular, too, it's the reason. I mean, I think the reason he made it was we kind of saw it. They gave him earlier opportunities in games in the preseason to be the kick returner, and he did good with that. Nico Remigio wasn't really getting those early opportunities, so we don't really know how that looked, even though he got a lot of those looks during training camp. So Sky Moore is going to be in contention for your first-team kick returner to go along with McCole Hardman or Carson Steele or whoever they want to put back there. Like, he has a very clear role on the team that they like him for, and then we can go back 2 years now. Every single time a coaching member has got up and talked about Sky Moore, they've talked about how smart he is and how he understands all of the wide receiver positions. If you have a couple injuries and somebody has to step in, I think it's just pretty clear that they feel more comfortable with Sky Moore going out there and at least the rest of the offense getting to run normally, even if his impact may be lower than what we want for a second-round pick, may not be that big, but
say that for a long time, Matt. What do you think about everything that I just said?
Oh, man. I think that's really unfair. I can't believe you go that far, but I'm glad you got it off your chest.
Yeah. Exactly. No, we're in agreement. Let's move on. Let's move past that. We don't need to address it ever again. Let's get back into the Chiefs. We were talking about Ethan. I had Ethan Driscoll making the team, but I had him making the team because I was worried about Wanya Morris's knee. So I had them keeping 5 offensive tackles with Lucas Niang because of the bone bruise with Wanya Morris. And I'm like, if that's something that even is questionable, do you keep Ethan Driscoll? But part of not knowing if you would get him to your practice squad. But it's a great point that if somebody were to get hurt, that maybe Driscoll isn't the guy they go with. They just simply elevate Lucas Niang. Really interesting observation there. Let's talk about Samaje Perine because you wrote about him. Or excuse me, we'll talk about Cam Thomas in a little bit, who you wrote about. But I want to talk about Samaje Perine, who you did write about, just in a different way, because, looking at guys who can help this team. And while you had the film review and film study of Cameron Thomas, you also went and talked about other players that could help the team, potential waiver wire claims for the Chiefs, immediate help, and then solid position groups that they could improve on. And the first player listed is Samaje Perine, running back for the Denver Broncos. Now, I should point this out. You had this before they got Samaje Perine. So, good call on Perine. They just went and got him. Let me guess, you wanted to go get Eric Scott? So, what was it about Samaje Perine that you think fits so well with what the Chiefs do?
Well, first of all, Eric Scott was in my draft. My editor just cut it out, so I really got both of them right. And who's counting? So the thing with Perine is the Chiefs had Jerick McKinnon for all these years, and he was like the perfect complement to whoever was the starting running back just because there was no need to give McKinnon a bunch of carries. He was really only in the game to give your starting running back a breather, and then he came in on third down or second and long to be quite simply a third down back only. Then there were stretches where he got a little bit more run as they were ramping him up, and he was playing really well. But for the most part, he was a pure third down back, and that's all that Samaje Perine needs to be for the Chiefs. And that's really all his use has been for the past couple seasons as he's played in running back rooms that have guys that are clearly starting, quote-unquote, over him. So you go through Perine's game, and here's a guy that's a selfless blocker. He'll go out there, and he'll go pick up a defensive end. He'll pick up a blitzer. He has good technique. He understands pass protection extremely well. And then if you want him to go run 33 routes and only get the ball one time in a game, or you need him to run 13 routes and get 13 targets, he might come away with all 13 of them. He does everything the Chiefs asked Jerick McKinnon to do, and that's something that I think was a little bit of I don't want to say glaring hole coming into the season, but if you were starting to poke holes in this roster a little bit, that was something they hadn't had behind Isaiah Pacheco, who's getting better as a receiver, but has really not been trusted in those third down roles. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't, and while Carson Steele has looked good in limited tape, he's still a rookie that I don't know if you want to trust him on 3rd and 8 with your season on the line. So going to get Perine, it made all the sense in the world as soon as he was looking like he might be available. Yeah,
a year ago, they signed Jerick McKinnon a little bit later into the offseason last year. And so when the Bengals had made the decision that they were not going to re-sign Samaje Perine, that they were going to move some money elsewhere, use it in different spots, go and get, Orlando Brown or whatever. Him being out there, a conversation that Josh and I had at the time was, hey, man, if you feel like McKinnon is a guy that maybe you're waiting on him with injury or whatever you might be waiting on, maybe Perine's a guy that you go out and get and bring in because he does a lot of the things that Jerick McKinnon does. He's a fantastic pass blocker, really good out of the backfield catching the ball. So it's interesting, a year ago when the Broncos signed him to a 2-year contract, he was actually a guy that I would have liked the Chiefs to sign. While I don't like a lot about the Cincinnati Bengals, and there are plenty of players who are easy to root against, there was something about Perine that I just respected and liked. So it wasn't like they're not bringing in Eli Apple, where I'm just like, like I don't want anything to do with that dude. It was Perine, respected him, but I was annoyed because he kept hurting the Chiefs. And it was like, damn, I made the case, it might have been 2 years ago when Joe Mixon was injured. And it was like, is Mixon going to play or is Perine? I'm like, I hope Mixon plays. I'm more worried about Perine than I am Joe Mixon because of what he does against the Chiefs. And so I'm ecstatic about this move. I know he isn't the same guy he was a couple of years ago, but he still caught 50 passes last year, and he can still pass block. And so he gives you that veteran presence that they were missing. If it's not Pacheco, you don't have to rely on Carson Steele being a rookie, or if Edwards-Helaire isn't available, Deneric Prince, or not even Deneric Prince. We're talking about, Keontae Ingram. Or Amani Bailey. So not even Deneric Prince, because he's not on the practice squad. So you've got a veteran back there. I love the signing. I think it makes so much sense. And it's just the Chiefs are playing the waiver wire, and I think it's an element of when you're winning and you're spending money at different positions and your highest paid defensive tackle and the quarterback and the tight end and now the center, like you got to make some sacrifices elsewhere. And the bottom of their roster, it doesn't have it doesn't have as much of the feel of the depth that it had last year, and they're trying to find those pieces to fill in where they feel like they're inadequate right now.
And that's what makes a guy like P. Ryan so beloved, I think, by a lot of fan bases when he's available like that, right? He fits a very specific role that's not going to eat into the younger guys, the core of your team, the guys that you see as playmakers and key cogs of the overall components of the Chiefs roster or any roster. But he's also so good at that role, being a third down back, that he's going to make 30 teams better just by simply being on there. And like the few teams that he maybe doesn't have a spot for, the 49ers and the Miami Dolphins, teams that have like these stud running backs or a ton of depth already in how they use them. But everybody else he makes better, but he's also not going to eat away from anybody else. So he's beloved for that reason as an addition to any team. And you're right. Like when he was with the Bengals, him kind of stuffing some of Spag's blitzes, giving Joe Burrow just enough time, catching the ball on that like real.
See some of the things with Arizona, and what stood out that made perfect sense that I'm like, all right, this is a Spags, a Joe Cullen guy, is, one of his sacks this preseason came rushing from the interior and beating a guard with a first step, sort of swim move, got past him, shed the block, and then went and got the sack. In college, like he was in a 4-point stance, at times at San Diego State, rushing from the interior. I'm like, all right, yeah, this guy's going to slide down inside, played some defensive tackle on pass rushing snaps, play outside. Like he seems like a version of Mike Dana. Maybe not as good as what you're getting from Mike Dana, but it certainly seems like, hey, they just added another Mike Dana instead of saying it's Truman Jones that's going to be on the team as your fifth defensive end. You went and got this guy that adds some versatility. He's not. I mean, you're not adding a star pass rusher, but you're adding a guy whose motor is not going to stop. And we see that with Karlaftis. We see that with Dana. We saw that with Tamba Ali. And I said yesterday, people can complain and get upset or talk about the coverage sack as sort of being like, well, yeah, he got the sack only because of the cornerbacks and what the defense was doing. Well, one, he got the sack because he didn't stop. And two, the importance of the sack on that coverage sack is that the quarterback can no longer throw the ball. So coverage sacks matter because if there's not a coverage sack, then we're complaining because the quarterback had all day to throw and then found an open receiver. So dismissing the value of a guy with a huge motor, and I'm not saying Chiefs fans do that. I just think sometimes that gets lost when we talk about, well, yeah, his sacks because the quarterback was holding the ball a little bit longer. Cool, great. Frank Clark made his living in the postseason on coverage sacks and not stopping and being the shark. So I love the Cameron Thomas move.
And there's a skill there, too, for that, right? Like a coverage sack, yeah, it requires good coverage on the back end, obviously, so the ball can't come out. But you still have to be in the right position, and you still have to be able to beat the blocker kind of when it happens, like when the moment is there. So this takes me back to like the whole point of he's a smart pass rusher, and he doesn't get out of his rush lane. So you look at some speed rushers, and they have a tendency to get too far upfield, and then if you come to the situation where you might need a quote-unquote coverage sack, well, guess what? If you're 13 yards up the field, there's a lot of space for that quarterback to get away. Good luck getting back into position to actually make that sack and capitalize on the good coverage if you're not in the right spot. And so that's something I think Cam Thomas does do well is he's going to be in the air. He's going to hold his contain. He's not going to let the quarterback just get away to risk a big sack coming. He's going to do the right thing. And then he's got the hand technique, enough power, and what really surprised me is like the body control to propel himself towards the quarterback, but not having to keep his chest square. I'm not going to say he's the bendiest guy, but he can dip a shoulder. He can kind of contort his body to avoid contact to go towards the quarterback. So that's something that I think Mike Dana struggles with a little bit. And that's why I think you might see Thomas get some run on third downs this season early in the year when Dana might be a better player overall, but Cam Thomas just gives you a little bit extra, I think, as a pass rusher. So I really like that move, and I think it was a position group on this team that desperately needed some other help based on not promising things that we got to see from Felix going through most of the preseason.
Yeah, he's not a big stiff. There is a little bend to him. You're right about that. Matt Lane, KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. All right, what do you take away from the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs made 3 waiver claims? They got one of them in Eric Scott, but the other 2 waiver claims, cornerback Eric Scott, they got another 2 other waiver claims that they did not get was Shamar Bartholomew and Samuel Womack, both cornerbacks. Is this the Chiefs looking for 3 cornerbacks or throwing a net on a number of guys they feel like can help them right now and hoping they get at least one so they can improve that cornerback room? And what's your read on all 3 waiver claims from the Chiefs being the cornerback?
I think it's the latter. I think they were just putting a bunch of claims in there for guys that they liked, and, they kind of probably had them stacked in the way they wanted them. The biggest takeaway is the fact that they put in 3. I'm assuming there's not 3 cornerbacks that were all cut that the Chiefs were sitting there saying going into the season, like, oh, we love all these guys. How can we make sure we get them? I think it's more of they weren't overly impressed with the bottom of the cornerback positional group when they went through training camp. I don't even know if they loved everybody below Trent McDuffie, but they definitely weren't that impressed with the guys in like the bottom end of that roster spot. So they're going to go out there, they're going to put a bunch of claims and see if they can get one of these guys, and they have no qualms with moving on from whoever they saw at the bottom of that list. It was Nick Jones for this time. We also saw, draft pick Kamal Haddon doesn't make it. Keith Taylor. Like, they had a handful of guys that were kind of in competition to not only make this cornerback or make this roster as a cornerback, but also see some playing time. And it just seemed like none of those guys, besides the people that have been here for a couple of years, really stuck. So I wasn't surprised to see that. I do find it mildly interesting, though, that they haven't gone out and signed a veteran that's kind of ready to step in and play on day one. All the guys they put in claims for, special teamers, last kind of cornerback on the roster that you're still trying to develop. So they're wanting to turn over that cornerback room, but they're mostly emphasizing the bottom half of it rather than trying to find a new starter.
Yeah, a couple of guys you mentioned, a C.J. Henderson, a Caleb Farley, guys that have played, been around. Farley more of a, as you mentioned, reclamation project for a first-rounder who was often injured at Virginia Tech and was taken by the Titans and hasn't lived up to a first-round billing, and that's why he was out there and available. Last one for you, Matt, since this is the last time we will talk until the Chiefs the Thursday when they're getting ready to play the Bengals. So we'll know what happens against the Ravens. Let me get your thoughts on what's their record this year. If you're making your prediction, I don't know if you've officially come up with that yet, but do you have a record that you're going to go with for the Chiefs this year?
This always makes me think because they've added this extra game now, so I can't go with I'm still not quite on 17 games. I'm still not quite ready for it. I'm going to say I think the Chiefs are going to kind of hit the ground running a little bit because I think the offense will be different this year. So I think they're going to hit the ground running. It's going to be a little bit more of an offensive team again to start the year as the defense figures out how to live with some of the changes they've overgone this past year and a half or so. So I still think they hit the ground running. I'm going 14 wins. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL all year long. I think this is kind of going to be a season kind of like the run it back year was coming off of that first Super Bowl where they just clearly looked like the team and then the flaws didn't really show up until injuries hit later on. Knock on wood that those don't happen. But I think they're just going to be kind of the class of the NFL from week one on.
I'm with you. I've got them. I haven't done the official breakdown yet, but I'm looking at like 14 wins for this team. People that are looking at the total of 11.5, I'm like, play the alternate line. Play the 12.5 alternate line.
I think
and
so.
Take the over on that. There's more value and more to get your money back with that. So we'll see. Matt Lane, KC Laboratory Podcast, KC Sports Network. Matt, you're the man as always. Really appreciate the time, brother. Enjoy the football, and looking forward to our conversation in a couple of weeks when we're talking about the 1-0 Chiefs getting ready for the Bengals. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Absolutely, you too. There's Matt Lane, KC Sports Network. Again, if you go to KC Sports Network and check out the latest that he has, that he wrote yesterday morning, it was before the Chiefs got Samaje Perine, so he didn't write about here are some players who could help the Chiefs if they went out and signed them, and wrote about Samaje Perine. And well, yeah, great call. They signed him. Good call with Samaje Perine. But it's a film review on Cam Thomas, and so he gets into a number of things from San Diego State, from Arizona. So good stuff from Matt Lane. And the Chiefs starting to finalize. I have not seen a corresponding move yet for Samaje Perine. So the Kansas City Chiefs, as expected, are able to break the rules with the NFL because the NFL has it in for, or the NFL has it in with the Chiefs, and they want the Chiefs to win, so the referees are on their side.
Oh, yeah.
And the NFL is fine with 54 players.
Oh, is that what it is?
Right? Yes,
yeah.
Of course. What else? What other thing could you think of would be why the Chiefs have not made a corresponding move with Samaje Perine yet, okay? They have 54 players on their team right now. They are cheaters. It's ridiculous, and I'm sick and tired of the NFL going out of their way to bend the knee and kiss the rings of the of the Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's unbelievable. You already do it with the refs. Now you're letting them have Samaje Perine.
Is that the lamest excuse? Like, there's no way.
A lot of
no one has ever been a winner, as a person, and been like, you know what, blame the refs. It's all their fault. That's why this team didn't win. It's like, no, they just got their ass kicked. Like,
they didn't blame the refs in 2019 when the Chiefs won because it was a fun, new, cool thing that the Chiefs.
Oh, it was
and
awesome.
Patrick
Everyone
Mahomes,
loved it.
Yeah. Now they're winning, and it's blame the refs, and we're tired of the winners. It happens all the time. I talked about it when the Warriors burst onto the scene. I'm like, the worm is going to turn, man. There's going to be the worm is going to turn, and people are going to start rooting against the Warriors and hating the Warriors and talking about how cocky they are, and these guys are talking, and Draymond Green's unlikable, and Steph is shooting and then turning around and holding his hands out and it's going in. Like these guys are not humble when they're winning. And the Chiefs at the time, whatever they're doing early on, hey, if the Chiefs keep winning, the worm is going to turn and they're going to start hating on Patrick Mahomes soon.
I just love that facts don't matter, though. I love that facts don't. It doesn't matter that the refs were the Chiefs had so many penalties called against them last year in big time moments and calls that are traditionally not called go against Kansas City.
Those are makeup calls.
And
just
Lane
to even
Johnson
out.
can get away with stuff, but Jawan Taylor can. And again, Jawan Taylor shouldn't have been doing that. But that's besides the point.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney
lining up outside. No. Don't let those ones get in the way.
Well, they were actual MVS, no pass interference called in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah. Don't let those ones get in the way of a good
really,
narrative.
even if they call pass interference, the Chiefs still had to get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion and then win. I mean, that one doesn't matter, okay? We're talking about the ones that really matter, okay?
Yeah, I love that. You call that?
Sour grapes.
Coping.
Oh.
Those fans are trying to cope.
You also call that loser's cramp. Loser's cramp, coping, and sour grapes. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling, hanging out at Hollywood Casino, where we are at today until 2 o'clock. We got Sports or Leisure coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll get into some college football at noon. But on the other side, I want to talk a little bit about some of the practice squad players that the Chiefs signed, what it means, and the waiver claims that were put in by the Chiefs, what it means, and how this roster sets up right now. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling from Hollywood Casino. More next. $20 wager on a single ticket at the ESPN Bet counter, then you're going to receive 2 tickets that you can use, one of them to get cool ESPN Bet merchandise, and another one that you can be entered into a drawing to win an Isaiah Pacheco jersey or a Bobby Witt autographed picture, a Bill Self 2022 National Championship autographed basketball, $1,000 pin bonus play, and that is just by being here, going to the ESPN Bet counter and placing a minimum $20 wager, and you're going to receive these 2 tickets. One of them is going to get you the merch. Another one's going to get you in a drawing to win one of those different items and some sports memorabilia. So that is where we are at. You've got until 4 today to place the wager. You have until 4:15 to then use those tickets to win one of the cool pieces of memorabilia. And
they're giving you
merch.
15 minutes to decide.
That's right.
If you come here very late, you're one of the last ones. They're giving you time to decide where do you want to put your ticket.
Because you put your ticket for the drawing. You choose which drum you want to throw your ticket into, whether that be the Pacheco, the Bobby Witt, the Bill Self, or the $1,000 pen bonus play. You can put that ticket into any of those and win one of those. So that would be great for you if you do that, but you got to be here, and it goes until 4 o'clock for you to get that done. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810 text line to join us. A couple of observations with the practice squad, and I know as we get into the season with the Chiefs, practice squad, not necessarily something we'll be discussing a whole lot about, other than, hey, do they have to elevate somebody for this injury or that injury? But there are some interesting names, or rather names that are missing on the Chiefs practice squad.
Sure.
I think this is the first time in the Brett Veach era, I'd have to go back and check, but off the top of my head, that they have released a player that they drafted that year and did not sign them to their practice squad.
Oh, Kamal Hadden.
Kamal Hadden is not on their practice squad, 6th-round draft pick. They released him and did not bring him back on the practice squad. They kept Keith Taylor at cornerback, and they kept Deion Bush at safety. And I don't know about Nick Jones, because when Nick Jones clears waivers, in order to keep Nick Jones, they'd have to take somebody else off their practice squad, because Bailey Zappi was the last practice squad spot that they had open. Deneric Prince is not on the practice squad. Chris Oladokin is not on the practice squad. Bailey Zappi is on the practice squad instead. Cornell Powell is not on the practice squad. He's been a practice squad member, for 3-4 years. He's one of those guys that draft pick that they cut, but he's been practice squad member for a number of years, has Cornell Powell. But Kamal Hadden not being on the practice squad, I think, is interesting. And we talked about it. It just he didn't look the part in training camp and in some of the games. He looked lost at times.
What's interesting is I don't think there's a single cornerback on the practice squad. Keith Taylor.
Yep, that's the only one. That's the only cornerback that they kept.
Keith Taylor.
Yeah.
And then Deion Bush, you want to kind of safety. But, sorry about that. Keith Taylor, the only cornerback.
Yep. And then what's also sort of – and I think it kind of shows you what the bottom of their cornerback roster looked like, because the Chiefs made 3 waiver claims on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, whatever. All 3 of them were cornerbacks. Eric Scott that they got from the Dallas Cowboys, and then Shamar Bartholomew that the Panthers got, and then Samuel Womack that the Colts got. 3 waiver claims, 3 cornerbacks. Now the question would be, were the Chiefs looking for 3 cornerbacks, or the Chiefs needed at least 1?
Sure.
And they put in a waiver claim for 3 guys, hoping that 1 would fall to them. 1 did fall to them, Eric Scott. Bartholomew wasn't getting to the second team. No. He was gone quickly, and Womack made it to the middle of the waiver claims when the Colts ended up getting him. But they got a cornerback. Clearly, that was the spot. They signed P. Ryan at running back. They trade for defensive end. They trade for tight end, and they make waiver claims at cornerback.
Yeah.
The bottom of their roster, 48 to 53, they clearly were not comfortable with the guys they had in camp. And they didn't see enough from Kamal Hadden to keep him. And they decided to cut bait on Oladokin and go with Bailey Zappi, who's had some NFL experience.
Sure.
Playing for the Patriots, won a couple of games. Obviously, they signed him because he's a Western Kentucky Hilltopper. Like, that's probably the main reason he's on the practice squad. That's the main reason.
Just for you, right?
I could think of for the wifey. WKU in the house. What's up, Toppers? So they go with him to be their practice squad developmental guy, which, by the way, I'm totally in favor of.
Yeah.
I love that because I've wondered for a while when the Chiefs would start to get in the business of not paying a backup quarterback decent veteran backup quarterback money.
Sure.
That, was it Shane Buechele? Was it Oladokin? Well, Zappe's got NFL game experience and has gone out and played well in a couple of games. So is he a guy next year that you let Carson Wentz walk and Bailey Zappe is now your backup quarterback and you're paying him the minimum and he's got NFL experience?
Yeah.
So I've wondered if they're going to get to that spot. Shane Buechele did not sign with the Chiefs practice squad. He chose the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
He was pissed. I'm out. You guys don't believe in me? I'll go somewhere else.
Well, and also potentially
and they didn't sign Oladokin.
Better opportunity as well.
Yeah, and it's not like Oladokin signed anywhere yet. He hasn't.
Yeah.
Then Eric Prince hasn't signed anywhere yet. Unfortunately, Curtis Jacobs was claimed off waivers. So Curtis Jacobs is on a 53-man roster.
Curtis Jacobs was tough. Were you surprised
or
that Generic Prince?
I'm surprised that Eric Prince isn't on a practice squad anywhere.
Or even the Chiefs, ahead of Amani Bailey. Amani Bailey was probably the biggest surprise to me. They had two running backs, Amani and Keontae Ingram, right? They kept two linebackers, Swayze Bozeman, Cole Christensen. Obviously, that could have been three with Curtis Jacobs. Yeah. One safety with Deion Bush, one corner, Keith Taylor, three wide receivers, Nico, Justin, and then Montrell Washington, who's basically your special teams guy, barring. I think Montrell is strictly special teams. We saw what he did at times last year when he was called into duty, so I think they like him. That was kind of part of the decision between Cornell Powell.
Yeah.
Between Cornell, but he's not giving you as much special teams juice as Montrell.
But also Cornell Powell and Justin Ross.
Yeah,
because
good point.
Justin Ross made the 53 last year, and Cornell then was on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Well, Ross didn't make the 53, so we're going with Justin Ross over Cornell Powell.
They kept a tight end on the practice squad, Baylor Cup.
Yep.
Right? They went Baylor Cup. Defensive line, they went Neil Farrell.
Yeah.
Not a surprise.
And Dickerson. They were able to keep both of them.
Yeah, that's getting both were good. Truman Jones, Fabian Lovett, and then offensive line, they had Chu Godric, who's the IPP exemption, so he's allowed to be on there, as well as Lucas Niang.
And Niang's an interesting one. Matt Lane brought up a great point in saying, look, part of the decision-making, and I brought it up with Sky Moore and Nico Remigio yesterday when I tweeted out that Remigio was being released. Twitter went crazy, or on Tuesday, Twitter went crazy, and it was like, well, oh my God, they're keeping Sky Moore over Nico Remigio. What the hell? And they've got Remigio on their practice squad. They wouldn't have Sky Moore on their practice squad.
Yeah.
He would have been claimed off waivers. So part of the 53 and then the 15 or 16 practice squad members is who can you keep on your overall team? Remigio cleared waivers. Sky Moore would not have. Maybe they liked Remigio more than Sky Moore. I don't think they did because Sky Moore was getting early kickoff return reps over Remigio. And he showed that he was pretty damn good at doing it.
Yeah.
So he proved that he could do that as well. And teams would have claimed Sky Moore. It's an interesting point on Ethan Driscoll and Lucas Niang, that Niang is on their practice squad. I believe he would be a vested veteran. Unless
the COVID year. Well, he's set out the COVID year, so I don't think you get counted at that year. I don't believe counts.
So either way, he's on the practice squad, cleared waivers, vested veteran, whatever it would be. He's on the Chiefs practice squad, Lucas Niang. But the point that Matt Lane brought up I thought was an interesting one and said, if a tackle goes down, Driscoll may not be the guy they put in there. They might elevate Lucas Niang to play tackle. But Driscoll, you weren't getting to your practice squad.
Well, I'm surprised they got Niang to the practice squad.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe
I'm
overvaluing.
People may look at it and say practice squad's developmental. We know what Lucas Niang is. He's a product that's all he's going to be. So if he's going to be on the Chiefs practice squad and the Chiefs are saying we know what we have in Lucas Niang, that's all he's going to be. But he might be the reserve that we bring in after Wanya Morris.
Sure.
Driscoll's going to be claimed on a practice squad because 6'8", 3 whatever and can run like that. Yeah. Or not claimed on a practice squad, but might be claimed on a 53-man roster for a team that's not very good. The Chiefs did not believe Driscoll was going to make it back to them.
Yeah, and then that's probably the same thought they obviously had with Neil Farrell, Matt Dickerson.
That they did
Teams
think
probably
they were
realized
make it back.
that Matt Dickerson is, hey, He's not developmental. He is who he is, which is a fine rotational break in case of emergency. He knows the defense.
Yeah, I hate that Curtis Jacobs didn't make it back to him. So I hate that he was playing by the Patriots.
That one's tough.
Yep. Also, by the way, I was driving out here to Hollywood. Jesse Newell brought this up. The Dallas Cowboys drafted Eric Scott in the 6th round. The pick that they got was when they traded the Chiefs a 5th rounder the next year to get that 6th round pick. The Chiefs drafted Hunter Norzad with that 5th rounder. And they claimed Eric Scott, who the Cowboys got in the 6th round. So they got Hunter Norzad for nothing, apparently. Casino, and they are hooking you up with an opportunity to win some cool things. That Penn Play members can show the KU ticket after the 1 hour after the KU game. They have the free shuttle offered 2 hours before, 1 hour after the KU game tonight. And then Penn Play tickets anytime on today can show a KU ticket at Player Services to receive a $10 Penn cash. So if you're going to the game, you're going to be right over at Children's Mercy. Stop in, show them your KU ticket, boom, $10 in Penn cash. That's not too bad, right? You get $10 back on whatever you paid for the ticket or tickets. There you go. You got tickets for the kids. They're not going to use that $10 cash at the casino, I wouldn't think. So you can do that. Also today, and you've got until 4 o'clock to be here, and you can place a minimum $20 wager on a single ticket at the ESPN Bet counter, and it will allow you to then get 2 separate tickets, one in which you will use to get ESPN Bet merch while supplies last. Another ticket you can then take and choose between one of 4 drawings and place your ticket in one of those 4 drawings. The 4 drawings are for an Isaiah Pacheco autographed jersey, Bobby Witt autographed picture, a autographed basketball of Bill Self, the 2022 National Championship autographed basketball, or $1,000 in Penn bonus play. So that's going on today until 4 o'clock. And if you participated in this event today until 4 o'clock, you can come back on Sunday, September 8th, the first Sunday of the NFL season, Sunday, September 8th, between 5 o'clock in the morning and midnight, and you can swipe at a kiosk and you claim $20 in Penn slot play, table play, or sports play bounce back bonus. That's all for showing up today. You're going to the KU game, stop by, show your ticket, and you're going to get a $10 Penn cash. That's easy enough. You're going to the KU game, come in and place a $20 wager if you're going to be around anyway. And you're going to get your opportunity to win one of those 4 prizes that they're going to be giving away. So that is Hollywood Casino, where we are at today until 2 o'clock. An hour from now, we're going to play some sports or leisure. Right now, let's talk some college football. We're going to look at the local teams, KU, K-State, Mizzou, and look at what the schedules are, win-loss records, etc., and what we'll end up having, whether we're going over or under on the win-loss total as we go through some of these schedules. KU and MU start tonight. We're here at Hollywood Casino. It's right across from where Sporting Park is, Children's Mercy Park, where KU will be playing tonight. So let's start with the Kansas Jayhawks. Their over-under is 8.5, 8.5.
I'm not going to lie. This is electric if you're a KU fan right now. You get to come here. You got to go to the KU game. You got to go to Sporting. You got to see it in a new place.
Yeah,
right.
That's an intimate setting. That's a cool environment.
That's badass. Yeah. You're so excited for the season because the over/under and just the excitement surrounding the program.
Top 25 team.
Daniels is back and healthy. I mean, and then you get to gamble here. You get to make money while you're seeing your team play money football. I mean, this is just
not only making. They're giving you $10. If you show up and show them your KU ticket, they're going to give you $10 Penn cash.
Good for you guys.
So there you go. Place that then on KU place that on the KU money line. And they're going to give you 5 cents back.
That's 5 cents you didn't have, baby.
You're going to get 10.05.
That's 5 cents you didn't have.
Exactly right. Got a nickel. And I'll give Audrey a quarter, too. That's right, Audrey. Alex, you going to the game tonight? Okay, just making sure. Didn't know if you were a real KU fan or not.
And Easton is, too. Wow.
Easton, you're going to the KU game tonight, too? Okay, cool.
Wow.
I didn't know if you guys were fake KU fans or not, so I just didn't know.
What's funny is they actually both just said wins basketball season?
Easton's an
Is
MU
that what
fan
you said?
So what's the deal? You're an MU fan going to the KU game, Easton? You just going for the experience to watch? Yeah, that is cool. I honestly, I wouldn't mind going just to check out the football game there in the soccer stadium and that sort of intimate setting. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy you're rocking a Lindenwood shirt. Little surprising.
This is an 810 shirt. I don't know.
I'm not sure what
sorry. That's a Sports Radio 810 right there. I don't even know what Lindenwood is. Is it FCS? Is it Division 2? Is it Division 3? Where's Lindenwood at?
Oh, don't look. They're the Lions.
No, I didn't know where.
They're the Lions.
I don't care what their mascot is.
I'm
talking about
last game they played, lost to Bryant, 38-3.
It was
Not great.
just some dude named Bryant that they went up against.
Yeah.
It was just one guy out there named Bryant, and they ended up losing to him. He's a hell of a player, though. You know, it's Thomas Bryant. They could not beat.
They're part of the Big South with SEMO, Southeastern Missouri.
Oh, okay, Southeast Missouri State. Okay, there you go, SEMO.
And Tennessee State as well. So that not
Tennessee
far off
State,
from
I think
FCS.
Robert Covington went there.
Well, I think after Thursday's game against KU, they'll probably SEMO wins because they ain't winning tonight. If you know what I'm talking about, right?
Boo.
Huh? That was a good one, right? Yeah, thank you. Rim shot, everybody. All right. Be here all night. Tip your bar and wait staff. All right.
Is that your stage name? Rim shot?
No, that was what they just did. That was the drum. All right, let's go through KU. Over, under 8.5. They start with Lindenwood tonight. We all have a win, so we move on.
Yeah.
At Illinois next week. Wins? I've got them beating Illinois.
I haven't beaten Illinois. It might be a little tougher than some people might expect, but I haven't beaten Illinois.
Yeah.
At Illinois, second week of the season, an away game is always a little wonky early on, right? But I'll also say KU.
Dylan, I'm going to write you down for a loss, correct?
No, win.
Okay.
Win.
Okay, very good. So we all have them 2-0. UNLV at home. That's an interesting one because UNLV is supposed to be pretty good this year, and they're going to be competing in the Mountain West. But I still have it because it's a home game.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the trap game element here with KU because they start conference play the next week going on the road to West Virginia. They just went to Illinois and won. Now they're returning against a team that doesn't have name brand.
Sure.
That's a good football team. I'm concerned about the trap game. I'm putting a win. This win is solely based on Lance Leipold as a coach.
Sure.
This is a Lance Leipold win to me.
More than
against
Barry?
UNLV. Yes, that's right. It's a Lance Leipold win. But UNLV is a good team this year. Their over/unders 8.5.
They were good last year too.
7.5.
The bowl game was KU UNLV, and that was an electric game.
Yep. So that could be part of why you don't get the trap game.
Yeah.
But the fact is, they go to Illinois, then they go to West Virginia the week after that. They return home at Sporting, and they play UNLV, a good team. Is that a trap game? I don't know, but I'm counting that as a win. It's a Lance Leipold win. He'll have his team ready to go early on in the season. They'll be 3-0.
Yeah, I'll say 3-0. I'll say they beat them as well.
Dylan?
Yeah, I'll go 3-0 as well. Actually, Jason, I kind of have the same thoughts as you on this one, where if we lose or win this game, kind of depends on what I pick the next one on the road in West Virginia. So if we were to lose this like a trap game, I feel like we'd win in West Virginia. I feel like if we win this, going on the road in West Virginia is always tough. So that might be our first loss. But I do feel like our first loss comes in the next, like this week or the next.
Great call, Dylan. I'm the same boat as you. I'm actually in the exact same boat as you.
So we're all 3-0. You guys have losses at West Virginia?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I have a win at West Virginia. I think West Virginia is going to be interesting this year.
Sure.
Could be one of the surprises of the Big 12. Could fall back. Surprise either way. But this was the one I was teeter-tottering on the most, was this particular game. Well, there was two that I was sort of going. Well, you know what? There was three that I was going back and forth on, to be honest with you. I ended up going win on this one for KU starting off 4-0. And so, and again, it's kind of a Lance Leipold thing. It's kind of a Jalen Daniels being special. I know that KU lost a number of players, but Jalen Daniels' health, Devin Neal being a playmaker, their three top wide receivers coming back. So I went win with this one. I've got them starting off 4-0. They play TCU, a team that could finish near the top of the standings, could be right along there with KU. This game could be the difference between TCU or KU finishing at the spot they are. Dylan, the answer to that text is yes. So I've got them beating TCU at home. I've got them starting off 5-0. A tough start to the season, and I've got them surviving this tough start to the season being 5-0. You guys, TCU?
Yeah, I have the Jayhawks beating TCU.
Yep.
So they moved to 4-1.
I do.
All right. Arizona State. This would have been a loss for me if Arizona State was better. Arizona State's not very good this year, so I do think KU gets through this game because Arizona State isn't good. So I've got them going into the bye at 6-0. So you have them beating Arizona State?
Correct.
So 5-1 at the bye for you guys?
Yep.
All right. Houston coming out of the bye. Win. They're not going to be very good this year.
No, Houston's not good.
So that means I've got them starting 7-0 before they play K-State.
You're wild, man.
They're in Manhattan. I know. I'm a wild man. I'm going crazy here this year. You know, my optimism is what's typically killed me in the ZOUs the last couple times. It's helped me in the Chiefs ZOUs because my optimism, I was winning. Then they struggled last year offensively, and my optimism killed me, and I lost the Chiefs. Yeah. My optimism on Royals usually gets me. My optimism this year on Royals, I'm good.
Yeah, you're golden.
So I'm good. I'm leaning the 6 or 7-0, taking on K-State. So we all have Houston as a win for KU. All right, K-State on the road in Manhattan. I got them as a loss.
Yeah, I think K-State gets us one.
Yep.
It's in Manhattan too. That's a huge difference here.
Yep. Dylan?
Reverse jinx. Yep, I got K-State winning this, so I'm hoping Kansas wins finally, but if last year wasn't it, yeah.
You'll feel fine either way. Either your prediction's right or your team wins. That's perfectly fine. And then they head off into the bye, does KU. They come out of the bye with Iowa State. This is where I have KU losing one of those swing games. I've got them dropping this game to Iowa State, even though they're coming out of the bye. This was a tough one for me. But Iowa State, I think, is going to be a difficult team this year for a lot of teams. And I think this is where some of the depth starts to wear down for KU and still, building but losing a number of guys that they lost. So even coming out of the bye, it was difficult for me to go back. But Iowa State, it's going to be a good team. I have them losing to Iowa State. So I've got them back-to-back losses after starting 7-0.
Well, I think they beat Iowa State. I think they come back out of the bye, they get healthy after the K-State loss, and they beat Iowa State.
Dylan?
Yep, I'll go we'll beat Iowa State as well.
So we're all 7-2, just
all
in different ways getting there.
Yep.
Last 3 games of the season. BYU, not supposed to be very good this year. It is on the road. It's at altitude.
Yeah,
but I've got them losing to Iowa State the week before. They're not going to lose back-to-back games. They're going against BYU, a weaker opponent.
Yep, similar situation earlier with the West Virginia UNLV with your pick. Like I have them beating Iowa State, but then going in altitude on the road in kind of a weird stadium that catches teams off guards in BYU. Yeah. So I'm going to go with a loss
to BYU?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm in between a loss at BYU or the final game of the season. They're both.
That's exactly what I did. I went loss at Baylor.
They're on the road, and so I'll say win at BYU and loss at Baylor. But I think those could either. Those are just they're tough. Two of your last 3 games on the road like that.
Do we all 3 have them beating Colorado?
Yep. Yes, correct.
And then Dylan, do you have Baylor win or loss?
I got a win against Baylor.
Win against Baylor. Okay, so I ended up 9-3.
I'm 9-3 as well.
And Dylan?
9-3.
So we got there differently.
Yep.
But we ended up 9-3. So we all got there in different ways with wins and losses, but 9-3. So we all have the over with KU at 8.5 at 9-3.
I put money on it here on ESPN Bet, by the way. Of the
Nice
3
job.
local schools, I put money on KU already for the over.
All right. Mizzou, 9.5. They play tonight as well. We'll do Kansas State. They play 6 o'clock on Saturday. So Mizzou, 9.5. I'll just go ahead and quickly say they start 4-0 before the bye. Murray State, Buffalo, BC, and Vandy.
Yeah, BC is the only one that you can maybe make a case for, and it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so 4-0.
BC's not very good this year. It's not even.
I know, but it was the years prior.
I get it. It's a home game, though.
Yes,
they're not leaving Faroe Field until the bye. 4-0. Dylan, 4-0.
Yep.
Okay. A&M's a big one. They go to A&M after the bye. A&M's over/under is 8.5 this year. Elko's a good coach.
Yeah.
It is a new regime, a new system. It's a tough place to play. But the fact that Mizzou's coming off a bye.
Yeah.
This is the first big game where the build-up and the anticipation and the excitement for the Mizzou program as sort of hey, this is going to tell us a lot about what Mizzou's going to be this year. A&M has a bye week the week after this game.
Yeah.
They play Arkansas the week before, and this is the end of a 6 straight game stretch for A&M to start the season. I gave Mizzou a win here because of those factors. If A&M was coming off a bye, then I would go A&M. But I think the bye week and A&M having a bye the next week gives a little bit of an advantage, and a new regime, and this being the first sort of hell yeah, this is the game everybody's getting up for. So I gave them a win.
I think that's what it is. It's everyone's getting up for this. This is the first test for Mizzou, and I think they answer the call. It's also my wedding day. So if Mizzou lets me down on my wedding day, I'm going to be very mad. So
you're going to be crying on your wedding day one way or another. Either because it's an 11 o'clock kickoff. So you're good. So 11 a.m. kickoff for Mizzou and A&M. So you're okay. You got away with having a fall wedding for Mizzou and A&M. You jackass.
That's
hey,
actually,
pal, at least it's a road game at least. It's a road
Sterling
game.
set it up perfect, man. That's 11 a.m. You get to watch it with the boys and then have the ceremony after, man. Just got to get a win.
Yeah, it's going to be electric.
He'll be crying one way or another, crying because he's getting married and loves his bride, or crying because Mizzou lost and he's had a miserable day.
It's a double cry.
But see, A&M would already – we'll find out a lot this weekend. A&M plays Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So, but they would have already played Notre Dame. They've gone to Florida and played Arkansas before they get ready for Missouri.
Yeah.
Where Missouri's had layups.
Go Tigers.
Okay. UMass, they win. We're all in favor there, so we all have them starting off.
I was going to say A&M's the loss. I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble there.
No, you're good.
I was saying that Elko,
Sorry,
this is their first SEC, his first SEC like ranked opponent, and they play Arkansas the week before, which kind of might set up for like a sleepwalk situation in that game that might have him up for this one. So that's why I picked a loss in this game. But it was also the first game I could like pick one, and I felt like I was already going way too far the other direction of giving them like 5-0. So it's a close one.
All right, let's look at Auburn then. Auburn is a home game after UMass. They go to UMass for some reason. They love those northeast swings. Going to Boston, going to UMass. I think they take care of Auburn. Auburn, we'll see. It's an interesting. I don't know what to make of Auburn this year. I think they'll be okay, but the fact that they're playing UMass the week before, I think they can take care of business with Auburn, and they start 7-0.
So I have them losing 2 of the next 3 games.
Okay.
Don't know which 2
so
it's going to be.
you just looked at it and said Auburn, Bama, Oklahoma. They're going to lose 2 of those games.
I think they lose to Bama. It's in Bama.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a close game, but I think that Bama's just it's still Alabama even without Saban. They're either going to beat Oklahoma or they're going to beat Auburn, but I think they're going to fall one of those games. I don't care how you want to have a breakdown, but I think they lose 2 out of these 3. This is a tough stretch for Mizzou football right here. This is the toughest stretch of the season by far.
Yep. Dylan, what do you got?
I got them beating Auburn. So
yeah, I got them beating Auburn, losing to Bama.
Yep.
Okay.
Same.
Okay. So you've got them losing to Bama.
And then
either
Oklahoma or Auburn. I think because Mizzou's going to lose probably one game that we don't expect, and that could be the Auburn game.
Typically, that's
just how college football operates, and they could lose to Auburn, then bounce back and say, "Hey, we can't lose anymore after the Bama. We got to beat Oklahoma. They have a bye going into that. I could see it either way." So
okay, they play Oklahoma, coming off a bye in Week 11. Oklahoma has been a nightmare for Mizzou in their history. They won double-digit games last year, did Oklahoma. We'll see how good they are this year. I'm going a win because to hell with Todd Lebo, right? I mean, so I'm picking Mizzou to beat Oklahoma, but a couple of reasons, too. We good? We all right?
We're good.
Okay. Oh, that scared me. I'm like, did we drop? So I have them beating. I really wanted my to hell with Todd Lebo to be out there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, if we weren't on the air for that, I was going to be disappointed.
Well, I was trying to play. For some reason, it threw a liner in the spot where I was trying to play the correct answer dinger from Sports Elite.
To hell with,
yeah.
There we go.
The to hell with
That's
Todd
great.
Lebo, yeah.
So I've got them beating Oklahoma, and one of the reasons is that they're coming off a bye before they play Oklahoma. And then Oklahoma would be playing their 10th game in 11 weeks. So they have a bye the next week.
Yeah.
Their second bye is the next week. So they would be a little bit more beaten up. Now Oklahoma plays Maine the week before that. So Mizzou's got a bye. Oklahoma's got Maine. So it's not exactly like they're playing Texas. But they have the bye the next week because they play Texas in a couple of weeks.
Sure.
So those reasons, that's why I went a win for Oklahoma. Same thing with A&M. They've got the bye before that game. This is one of the reasons why Mizzou is expected to have such a good season, is that the schedule sets up pretty well for them this year.
Favorably.
Two of their toughest 3 games, they have a bye week before.
Yeah.
And so I think they win that Oklahoma game, and they would be sitting at that point 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-1 with 3 games remaining, 2 of them on the road, and then the last one against Arkansas. I think they do win out after Oklahoma.
I do too.
Dylan, do you think they win out after Oklahoma? Or do you have them losing to South Carolina, Mississippi State, or Arkansas?
No, I have them winning out, actually.
Okay. So I am the most optimistic there, and I did not plan on having them winning 11 games until I went through game by game and looked at the other team's schedules and things like that.
Yeah.
I was going to have them winning anywhere from 9 to 10, where the 9.5 is. I ended up going 11-1 and 7-1 in conference, and their only loss being Bama. I think I'm one game too optimistic at least.
Yeah.
But I was looking at each, and it's like KenPom, right? KenPom will have the breakdown in college basketball of the individual games, but then over the course of like 18 games, it might be like a team is favored, like Duke might be favored to win every single game in the ACC, according to KenPom. But their ACC record might be 15-3 projection.
Yeah.
Because just simply winning all of and that's sort of how I feel. Like individual games, I look at it and be 11-1. But over the course of the season, is Mizzou a team that's going to go 11-1 in the SEC? I would lean no on that.
I'm going 10-2
so
here.
10-2 for you, Dylan. You're 9-3.
No, I'm 10-2.
10-2. Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had them beating Oklahoma and Auburn. But
Also, they beat Oklahoma, lose to Auburn. You know what? Because Bleep Lebo too, right?
Yeah. All right, let's do K-State here, and then we'll take a break and hear from Brett Veach. Kansas State, 9.5 is the over/under. I've got them beating UT Martin. We're all in agreement there.
Correct.
Let's just look through Tulane. I've got them winning. That's a tough game. Tulane's going to be pretty good in the AAC. But I've got them beating Tulane.
Yeah, I agree.
They're good, and they're going to start off with expectations of maybe winning the Big 12.
Yeah.
Arizona's at home in a non-conference game against a conference opponent, Arizona. I have them winning that one. Anybody have a loss to Arizona?
No. If it was in Arizona, I think it's a different story, but they're at home. They get it done.
They go to BYU.
Yep.
But I think K-State takes care of business against BYU, even with some of the things we talked about with KU. But I had KU going to BYU and winning as well. Anybody have a loss with K-State, BYU?
Nope.
Oklahoma State at home?
This is where I think they get their first loss.
Okay, you've got a loss to Oklahoma State at home. Dylan?
I do as well.
I've got them beating Oklahoma State at home.
Nice.
Okay, I've got them starting 5-0. You guys got them 4-1 going into the bye.
Well, my thing is,
what's Oklahoma State? Yeah,
partially too. When you go down your individual records, you're like, they're going to lose to a team here and there. I can't have them, undefeated. So you're kind of saying, well, who's going to be the most competitive team against them? And I think Oklahoma State might get one here.
All right, they go into the bye week. You guys have them 4-1. I've got them 5-0 at Colorado.
They take care of business. I think Colorado is again.
Dylan?
They'll win 5 games maybe.
Yeah, I'll get a win here.
Yeah, I got them getting a win at Colorado too. So I've got them starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-0 on the season at West Virginia.
This is their second loss. This is their only, I guess, their second and last loss. I think they only lose 2 games, and it's to West Virginia and Oklahoma State.
This is the first loss that I have for K-State. Is at West Virginia. Dylan, what do you got?
As
K-State,
well.
West Virginia.
Me as well. Yep.
So here's my thought process on that. This has, unfortunately, it has such a trap game feel around it. They go to Colorado in prime time, right?
Yep.
Taking on prime on the road at Colorado, and I've got them winning that game and being 6-0. Mm-hmm. On the horizon is the KU game, who is also in my rankings. In my game-by-game undefeated.
Yep.
And they have to just get through West Virginia to maybe set up an undefeated KU versus an undefeated K-State. And it just feels like a look-ahead trap game because it's a tough place to get to. Nobody likes to fly and then drive, and getting to West Virginia. The fans are nutso. They throw batteries at you. They burn couches and stuff.
Are they Eagles fans?
Yeah, it's
Throwing
weird.
Batteries at you?
Yeah, they've got a guy walking around with an actual gun on the sideline as a mascot. So I've got them losing that game. I've got them beating KU and beating Houston heading into the bye.
Yep.
We all had them beating KU, right? So heading into the bye. And then the last 3 games, Arizona State at home, not a good team. Cincinnati at home, coached by Scott Satterfield. So that tells you enough about what that team's going to be. I've got them winning those games. Anybody a loss with Arizona State or Cincinnati?
Nope.
I think a couple wins right there.
At Iowa State. I've got them losing at Iowa State.
Ooh, I have them beating Iowa State.
I have them losing as well, Jason.
Wow.
Iowa State K-State is always one of those crazy games that goes back and forth.
Farmageddon.
Farmageddon. And this one being at Iowa State. Again, I think Iowa State can surprise some teams this year. So I have K-State ending 10-2, 7-2 in conference. What do you have them, Sterling?
10-2, 7-2 in conference. The 2 losses: Oklahoma State and at West Virginia.
Dylan,
9-3.
9-3. And then 6-3 in conference.
Yes.
They would then, by virtue of the tiebreaker, be ahead of KU in the standings in the Big 12. But yeah, I ended up going over in all 3 of the local teams. I didn't know that I would do that, but again, before I would have said I'll take the under on maybe it's Mizzou, so maybe the under, without looking at the schedule and breaking it down in the way that we did. So I've got KU 9-3. I've got K-State 10-2 and Mizzou 11-1. Good God, Jason.
That is 29 wins.
Good God.
For me, you have 30. Is that 30 wins for you? That's a 30 pack for
30 freaking wins, man.
That's a case of beer for Jason.
Yeah, I will actually place money that they don't get to 30 wins. So I'm actually going to place a bet. But again, that's sort of like you look individual games and then what's it actually over the course of the season, the odds of that happening. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll hear from Brett Veach, his press conference coming up next. Till 2 o'clock. We'll play some sports or leisure at 1 o'clock.
I will be very leisurely during that because I'm eating chicken and waffles right now. It's
as
great.
You should be. I'm having a smash burger. I'm about to smash this burger. All right? I'm going to smash this smash burger and some fries to go along with that. We are here at Hollywood Casino. He is not having chicken and waffles at the station. He's having chicken and waffles here at Hollywood Casino, where we are hanging out because they've got the ESPN bet counter opening up. And to celebrate that, they are hooking some people up. Look, if you're going to the KU game tonight out here at Sporting, you can stop by, show your KU ticket, and they're going to give you a $10 pen cash.
Boom.
That's it. That's all you have to do. You show them your KU ticket, $10 pen cash. Also, until 4 o'clock, if you're down here, you go up to the ESPN bet counter, place a minimum $20 wager on a single ticket, and you're going to receive 2 tickets. You're going to get your ticket, but then 2 other tickets, and one of those will get you some ESPN bet merch, and another one you can choose between 4 different drawings to enter with that ticket. Drawing an Isaiah Pacheco autographed jersey, autographed picture, Bobby Witt Jr., Bill Self 2022 National Championship autographed basketball, or a $1,000 pin bonus play. Those 4 different giveaways, you can choose one to put your ticket into. And also, you can win a couple different ways. You can win by your actual wager. You can win one of those giveaways. You can also win some merch or just get some merch. So if you're heading to the KU game, there's no reason not to stop into Hollywood Casino, show them your KU ticket, and then get $10 pen cash.
Quite frankly, you'd be silly not to. You'd be doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, and your family. Your entire family.
Yeah, and your family.
I mean, think about it. If you're taking a few kids with you, it's $30. I mean, it's $40 for you if it's like you and 3 kids. You got a couple kids with it. It's $40. Show them each ticket. Boom, 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 boom. If you're a scalper out there, hey, show those tickets.
Well, don't bring your kids in here. I would recommend.
I didn't say bring your kids in
but
here. I'm
you
just
take
saying,
your ticket.
Take the ticket.
Dang, that's
just leave
smart.
them in the car with the car running. Nothing's wrong with that. That's perfectly fine, right?
I don't know.
Is it frowned upon? You don't even have.
If you wouldn't leave but I wouldn't leave my dog. And that's kind of how I view it. Kids are kind of like that, right? They're kind of like dogs.
No, kids are not like dogs. Kids are actual humans.
Dogs are harder?
No, people are humans. Look, don't tell me that your dog is a part of your family, and then your dog walks around your car while you're driving, because I guarantee you part of your family, you ain't let your kid walk from front seat to back seat and front seat to back seat.
No, I strap my dog in.
I'm just saying.
I strap my dog in. Does that help?
Yes, it does. But I'm just saying, if your dog, they're a part of our family, it's just like one of our kids, and then that dog's like hanging out in the front seat with you or climbing to the back seat with you. No, it's not. You don't care about that dog's safety the way that you would one of your kids.
I might let my kids do that. Let them have some fun.
Put them in the back of the truck. Let's go. They don't need to. I mean, back in the day.
Oh, we still do that.
We didn't have seatbelts back in the day. You know what your seatbelt was, or the car seat was back in the day? It was your parents' arm that went over you as they hit the brakes.
Yeah.
That was what kept you on the seat.
Well,
was the arm that went across.
You
the
get a
arm
truck,
bar they gave you.
And you get in the back of the truck bed.
Oh, yeah, and then you
There's
can
no
take everybody.
seatbelts back there.
No, dude.
There is a case of Busch Light back there,
Yeah.
and that makes for a good time.
Dude, don't worry about it. Ron's got the kids. He's taking them all to the baseball game. He's got space for 10 in his truck.
Yeah.
He could put 2 in the front seat and another 8 in the cab. We're good. Or the bed.
And
We're good, man.
The whole rule is you don't sit on the wheel well.
You can't sit on the wheel well.
You'll get bounced out.
Yeah, you don't sit on the wheel well. Come on, don't sit on the wheel well.
Or it puts extra weight on the tire. The tires might rub. You don't want to ruin the tires.
But also, if you hit a bump, now you're closer to falling out.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be cavalier here with your safety.
I love that
we
was
want
the
you to be
safety measure
safe.
back in the day was don't sit on the – as long as you don't sit in the wheel well, you're fine back here.
We want you
we'll
to
go
be,
on the highway. You're good, though.
Dude, but we want you to be safe in the bed of this truck while you have nothing to protect you if you get in a wreck.
Yeah. just don't crash.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, just don't crash.
Oh, how did we survive? Well, guess what?
We're still here.
We all didn't survive. There were some that
wow, that was
did not.
very –
But that's true, though. You can't say, man, how did we survive all that stuff? Well, not all of us did. But still, yeah.
That is –
I'm just saying. So here's the advice that Sterling is giving. If you've got the kids with you, don't leave them in the car with the car running to come in and claim your $10 bonus bets.
Have someone watch.
Bring them in with you. Come on.
Yeah.
Now, they can't go in the casino, but they can walk around to the sports book. It says it right here. It says, free shuttle offered 2 hours before and 1 hour after the KU game located at Hollywood's main entrance near drop-off. Let's see. Guests under the age of 21 may ride the shuttle but cannot enter the casino. They will have to walk around to the main entrance from the outside of the building. Here's Brett Veach.
I anticipate this would be the roster going into week one, but as you guys know, we'll always continue to monitor the waiver wire, and if we can get a little better, we'll do that. I think we had a good, productive offseason with the guys. We were able to retain a couple free agency players, and then a draft class and an undrafted free agency class that had 8 guys make the team, really 9 if you count Matt Ariza. And then in just the last few days, adding Juju, Samaje, Cam Thomas, and Eric Scott. So again, thanks to my staff for all their hard work and the coaching staff for their help in this process. And with that, I'll take your questions.
All right, we'll go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Brett, how you doing today?
Good, Adam. How are you?
Good. Hey, I had a couple questions about Kadarius. He obviously he was productive player for you that first year. Maybe you don't win the Super Bowl without him, but why do you feel like it didn't work out for him in the long term here? And Kelsey, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're certainly disappointed. I think he's disappointed. I mean, we really like the kid, and I know that people could have different takes on Kadarius, and but I know in this building, he's a bright kid, he's a smart kid. I mean, I think when you look back on it, some of the stuff is a stroke of bad luck in regards to some of the injuries you can't control, like walking out the first day of training camp last year and tearing his MCL. I mean, that was something that was just unfortunate. And some of the things I think that we talked about was sometimes you can make some bad luck turn into good luck by just doing some little things in the offseason, take care of your body. And I think that's a process he's working through. And again, it's certainly not for lack of talent. And that's a situation where I think when you move on from players like that, I think everyone feels disappointed. But as far as our relationship with the kid, I really like the kid. And, I don't think that he's certainly we've seen the end of him. And I think he'll have a chance. And I think if he's able to tighten up, some of the offseason stuff and get his body right, I think he'll go out there and make a ton of plays for another team.
Okay. And just curious how you view that trade? You got some good production out of him that first year. Maybe you don't win that Super Bowl without him, but you didn't get the long-term production. So how do you kind of view that trade that you made with the Giants?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think we're sitting here going for a third straight Super Bowl had we not made that trade. So from that standpoint, do it all over again in a heartbeat. I think it's always disappointing when a player's tenure comes to an end in that situation, meaning you will have players that the age catches up to them. You'll have players where maybe it's obviously a really serious injury, and then you'll have players that you move on from where the talent just wasn't there. So I think when you have to move on from a player and the full product or the finished product or untapping all that talent wasn't realized, there's a disappointment. And, I think it goes both ways. I'm certainly sure that, there would be things that he would do different in regards to just some of the off-season stuff and taking care of the body. But again, I think it's a process. He's a really smart kid, and I do think he'll figure it out. And again, I think he'll end up making plays for a team down the road here. But as far as our interaction and working with the kid, he was actually a lot of fun to be around, and just hope for the kid that he can get a little good luck on his side and stay healthy.
Is P. Ryan done? And how do you see him fitting in if he is?
So that was a big role. I think when we finished our off season and we went into training camp, one of the positions where we were concerned, and this may hit another question, Adam, but I'll hit the P. Ryan question, but was certainly D end. I think if you look, since I've been here, we've always carried 5 D ends, and game day it might be 4. Some games it's 5, but I think on the active roster we've always carried 5 D ends. And then with obviously BJ's situation and then Omenahu's injury, we were on the lookout to add a fifth defensive end. And in addition to that third down Jerick McKinnon role, we obviously have some guys that can run and catch, but the proficiency in pass pro, I think one of the things that Samaje brings to the table is he's been one of the best in the NFL the last few years on third down in regards to targets and pass protections. And he's just a veteran player that fills that role. And, we're certainly excited to bring him in and get him up and running. And hopefully he's up to speed quickly enough to be active on Thursday night.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell. Sam?
Hey, Brett. You touched on this with the additions, but just wondering what you thought of the depth coming out of camp and the way you feel you've addressed it and just since cutdown day. And Kelsey, I'll have a follow-up too.
Well, I think we were able to address some glaring needs, and again, the fifth defensive end and the third down running back position. I think it's similar when you get to this point of the season with every GM. I think there's always something else you can do. So I think getting through OTAs and getting through training camp, working with the coaching staff and the personnel staff, I think we feel good, but I think there's always room for improvement. And I think we have some unproven pieces at the corner position, but I do think we have some talent there, and some guys have played in the past. So again, I think there's always room to get better, and I think we wouldn't be doing our job if we weren't continually combing through the waiver wire and the transactions.
And now that you're just a week out from the regular season, what's the early year hope for Hollywood Brown?
Well, I would, I don't like talking about medical, because if I say something and he's ahead of that timeline or behind that timeline, then, I don't want to put any more pressure on the kid. I would say that, and I'm sure it's been reported, I mean, I could probably confidently say it was similar to Tyreek. And I think given that timeline, I think it falls in line with the timeline that Tyreek went through. But I know he's here every day, and he's to the point now where he can laugh without pain. So that's a good thing. So he's certainly trending in the right direction. And look, there was a reason why we didn't put him on the IR to start the season. So I think within that window, I defer to Rick, but I feel like he's probably on that trajectory Tyreek was on.
Thanks, Brett.
Yep.
We'll go next to Pete Sweeney.
Hey, Brett, I was wondering about the back end of the wide receiver room. I think we all knew the top four coming into camp. You guys end up with Moore, Hardman, and Juju. Just the thought that put them over the edge.
So a lot of it has to do with special teams. I think with Juju, once we got out of the Jacksonville game, Hollywood got hurt and had some conversations with Juju's agent. And as we were kind of going through our roster, I think some of the other guys, Remigio had a good camp, Justin Ross had a good camp, Montreal Washington had a good camp. But some of the things, Pete, how coach works with just like components, and certainly you'll have Hollywood and Worthy, and now with Hollywood being out, you have McCole. Some of the things that Travis does, Noah Gray does really well. And then with Rasheed, he did fill in that Juju role. And there's some of the intermediate stuff that he does well with Travis that we thought Juju did better than the other players. And so he's a bigger player than some of those smaller guys. And then with some of the intermediate route running, I think he had maybe a little bit better feel, and Justin's working on that. We all know Justin can make plays outside the numbers and use his size. And I think as he continues to develop, that will be something that he'll need to work on. And I think we feel confident he will. But I just think that Juju's experience in this offense and that feel for that position gives us the ability to kind of sub these guys out, give them blows, and hopefully still match that kind of production.
We'll go to Jesse Newell next.
Hey, Brett. Sorry about that. Trying to get mute. And Kelsey, I have a quick follow-up. With Louis Rees-Zammit, I wanted to ask you about him. Did you guys want him back on your practice squad, or did you encourage him to pursue other opportunities out there?
We kept it open. We wanted the kid to really, look at maybe some different opportunities as well. Pretty remarkable when you think about a player that doesn't have any pro American football experience, no middle school, no high school, no big time college experience. And we were kind of thinking about it going through camp. Imagine not having any sort of foundational background, just to be thrown in and be doing one-on-one pass pros with a Drew Tranquil or Nick Bolton. I mean, that's pretty incredible. I think for him, it'll be just finding out that exact position, running back, maybe a big slot receiver. I think he does have some potential as a returner. I'm not so sure he couldn't be a kicker. I mean, he had an outstanding leg, and with this new role, he can do some different things, provide some versatility. I think the Jacksonville thing, their relationship overseas and what that brings to the table going overseas twice a year. I think that was probably something that interests him, but phenomenal kid, phenomenal worker. And again, just thinking back on the tremendous amount of progress he made in a short amount of time, I think he'll continue to grow and develop. And I think he found a really good spot there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and real quick, you had talked early in the offseason about approaching Harrison and Creed first. Just specifically with Trey, do you have conversations with him? Obviously, you have a budget you have to fit under, but do you have conversations with him about an extension?
Yeah, we've been like I said, we've been in conversations with Trey, and we still have some time here, and we'll get a chance to talk to both Trey's people and Nick's people, and it is a little tricky when you get in the off season. It's hard to kind of work on 4 deals all at the same time, not knowing where they're going to end and not knowing where the money is going to be allocated. So you do unfortunately have to do it kind of systematically, and it does take time and does drag out. Fortunately, we were able to knock Harrison out rather quickly, and obviously Creed was tricky. That took some time. He's a tremendous player, but excited to get him done. And now we still have some time here before the season starts, and we'll continue to see if we can make some progress with the last few guys there that are younger guys that are going to be up next year.
Thanks, Jesse. We'll go next to Matt Derrick.
Hey, Brett. You mentioned the 8-9 rookies that you've gotten. By my count, I think you've got 16 total newcomers on this team who weren't on the roster last year. 11 offense, 4 defense. You're always going to have turnover in a team, but that disparity, why is it the turnover good on offense for you and the sameness, if you will, this good on the defensive side? And Kelsey, I'll have a follow-up.
Well, I think just the combination of just contractually from the rookie contracts and just adding depth. And I think one of the strengths that we have on our staff is how our coaches develop players. And I think we're looking at our roster and you see Kingsley and Norzad and Hansen and Driscoll. And I mean, you're taking, 4 rookies with no NFL experience into a season, but I think just the progression that they've made from the first day they've been here through training camp. Can't speak enough about Coach Heck and the job he does. We've seen it over the years with Spags and Coach Merritt, but I mean, really all of our coaches, we take a lot of, we have a lot of confidence, I should say, in our coaching staff. And I think there's that value that as we progress here and, you're paying your quarterback, obviously rightfully so, but the quarterback, the tight end, the DN, the center, everything's at the top of the market. I mean, it's just the reality of this business, and you got to draft and you got to develop young talent. And, so it's that mix of taking care of your veteran players that have earned it and continuing to draft and develop talent. And so it's almost a necessity that we have to do it. But again, I think, we put a lot of emphasis on the type of players we bring in here. A lot of these guys are super smart, super versatile, and have room to grow.
And specifically, and you kind of mentioned with the offensive line, all of your backup offensive linemen have 3 years less experience. Obviously, a little bit of the byproduct of the contracts, but what do you see in that group as far as, being able to produce both, this year and long term from those young guys?
Well, I think, and we talk about this every year. I think the versatility stands out. Hunter Norzad's a guy that obviously maybe best suited to play center, but I think he gives you guard flex. I think Hansen needs some time, but I think, he's probably more suited to play center as well. I do think that he's got a lot of room to grow. He's super athletic. I think he just needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger, but I think he has guard center flex. And then Driscoll is just one of those type of players that has rare physical traits. He's a big guy. He's athletic. Again, like Hansen, there'll be some anchoring issues and there'll be some weight issues early on. But he was a guy that I think it was rough the first preseason game, and then it got a little bit better, and then it got a little bit better, and then you can see him grow and get more confidence at practice. And one of the hard parts of it is you see that there's certainly another team saying that, and then we bring a player in here, and we work with him, we develop him, we go through the rough patches, and then all of a sudden to have him break free on the waiver wire, someone's getting a young player under a rookie contract with a ton of work that we put into it. And so I think there's always that desire to see it through the end. And again, Coach Heck has done this with many players over the years.
We have 4 more for you each. We'll go next to Nick Jacobs.
And Kelsey, I'll have a follow-up if I can, please. Brett, my first question for you, over the years, from the time you scout them until they get to year 3 or 4, what are kind of the toughest positions to develop these days?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's probably team dependent and scheme dependent. I think so. I can't speak for every team and where they view that question going. I know for us, the linebacker position has been tricky for us because that's another coach on the field. And so I think we've gone through some learning phases there, but Steve does a great job in communicating exactly what he wants. So we are very specific in regards to linebacker and safeties when it comes to free agencies and the draft. And there are a lot of players that maybe go high in the draft that potentially weren't even under consideration for us. So I think that question is more scheme specific. I know that there's a high threshold for those two positions. Certainly, quarterback is a tough position, and then I think you can probably follow up that question. What positions are hard to find on the waiver wire? And to me, it's the cornerback position because every team is looking for. I don't know how many teams sit there and say that they're 3 or 4 deep, and in regards to just Pro Bowl type players. I mean, it's a hard position to play. I mean, the receivers are so talented. You're out there on an island a ton of the time. And I think over the years, the one position that is extremely difficult to find on the waiver wire is corner. And that's why I think you have to be a little bit proactive with trades and having communications with teams. And I think over the years, we've done a pretty good job of identifying guys and putting claims in for the right guys. But you do have to continue to take chances with that turnover at that position.
And kind of speaking of those trades with Hershot and
running back position, you have to get it from somewhere else. And we have a good linebacking core. It'd be good to do more at that tight end position. It'd also be good to take Noah off some of those things. I think Noah continues to get better, and he's a guy that I think we want to feature a little bit more this year. So knowing that, it's good to have the ability to take him off some of those special teams. I had mentioned earlier in the press conference that I don't think we had a fifth defensive end. So that was something that we just needed from a depth standpoint. And I think Cam's a guy that we like coming out, and he's a high motor player, and he has some George Karlaftis qualities with the way he plays and how he attacks things. And then with Scott, we're just, again, that goes back to the waiver wire and just always throwing some numbers at that. And again, fortunate that we have a great coaching staff that if they have it, we'll get it out of them. And when you have a guy that has traits, always willing to take a chance there.
We'll go next to Nate Taylor.
Hey, Brett. With everything that you've been able to do this offseason, now you've had, a full offseason, training camp, preseason. Just what have you learned most about Jaden Hicks, considering you guys selected him in the 4th round, but he seemed to be a guy that really obviously got better as sort of the weeks went along. Just what are your thoughts on Jaden Hicks and how he may be a contributor this season?
Yeah, he's done a great job, and I think I think you guys seen it at practice early on at OTAs. It wasn't one of those guys that we drafted and he had some ups and downs, and then he started making plays. I think from the time he stepped on the field here, he had a good grasp of things. And then that kind of translated right into the training camp, and right off the bat, Jacksonville game. I mean, he's the one player that stands out, and he's continued to grow and develop. And I think he's on track to have a special career here. And I think he's going to have a big role on this defense. It's funny, Nate, I was at home watching some preseason games after we got done playing one night. And I think I just randomly texted Tyrann Mathieu just to check in and say hi. And we were exchanging texts, and he kind of ended it with, and 21's a stud. So I think, it's not just apparent to us and to the media here that's been here and seen it, but even the league's taken notice of it. And a guy like Tyrann Mathieu, I mean, he sets a standard there. So when he's sitting there watching games, and we're not talking Chiefs, we're just exchanging texts about families and what have you. So when he mentions it, I think it's kind of taken the same way in by the rest of the league. So he's done a great job, and again, we're excited for him and where his future can go.
Last two here, we'll go next to Seren.
Brett, the defensive tackle, you've got only 4. I know you've got 3 on the practice squad, so you do have some depth down there. But is that just how the numbers worked out? Is that where the game is going? There's so much nickel, so much passing that the bigger guys, I know, because that seems like kind of a small number for what a rotation you'd like, especially when you consider that Chris kind of kicks outside sometimes. Do you feel like maybe you're a little thin there, or how'd that just come together the way it did?
Yeah, no, I listen, I think that the corner position and I think the defensive line position, I think it's one of those things where we're going to continue to look at and monitor. That was certainly that caused the urgency, I think, to get Cam again, just as a defensive end, but on the defensive line in particular, we did have some numbers that were close. We felt like we'd have a good chance to get some of these guys on the practice squad to use the elevations. And there's a little of us buying some time to get, Omenahu is going to be the big piece for us down the stretch. And so I think when we find a guy that we feel adds a little bit, maybe more upfield rush in that group, I think Turk Wharton's had a great camp. He's way ahead of where he was last year coming off that knee injury. So you have Chris, you have Turk Wharton, who had a great camp. I think we have an experienced player in Derek. That third position or that fourth position with Derek, Mike Pinnell, the end of the season he had last year and that Super Bowl he had last year, he continues to defy odds because he is an older guy, but he continues to bring juice to that room. So I think if you had a guy that you can supplement in there that had some upfield rush in that, might be a smaller guy, weren't able to find that in the waiver wire. We'll continue to do that, but we also know that as this goes on here, we're going to get Charles back, and he's kind of the last missing piece of that defensive line for us.
And I apologize if I missed this, but you mentioned signing P. Ryan. I don't think we've seen a move yet. Is there?
He's in the building now. It's just a matter of us turning the papers in, but he's good to go, and I think he's already got the playbook and got the first few meetings in with the coaches here. So that'll be, I'm sure you'll see that on the transaction wire here soon. Yep.
Matt, you can close us out.
Hey, Brett. I know you're always working on the roster all year long, but in terms of the offseason roster construction process, for you and your staff, is there a sense of fulfillment? Thinking about where you were on the first day of free agency to now you have a roster that's ready to go out there and compete on week 1?
I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been an opening weekend where you go into the game and you feel like you're going to go out there and dominate. This league, it humbles you super quick. And there's been times throughout the last few seasons where we haven't looked like the best team in the NFL. Unfortunately for us, we have a strong culture, a great coaching staff, and we've been able to stay healthy at the end of the year and get on a hot streak. But it's so competitive, I think. And again, I can't speak for the rest of GMs, but I continually stare at the roster thinking, how can we get better and we're not good enough, and can we add something? So I think that I'm certainly proud of my personnel staff and the work they've done, and certainly appreciative of the coaches for all the input they've added. And I think it's a never-ending process. And another aspect of this is just the attrition and the injuries, and we're going to have a lot, and we're going to have a lot of young guys that at a certain point, like you look at that offensive line, we're going to be playing a lot of young players with no experience here. So I think that there's a lot of talent and potential. But I also think that, we wouldn't be doing our jobs if we weren't continually trying to make our roster better throughout the course of the season.
We appreciate you jumping on. We'll let you get back to it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Brett Veach, his press conference as the 53-man roster is not yet finalized because Seren asked the question, very curious about what the corresponding move is going to be.
Yeah.
But Brett Veach just simply answered it as, well, no, that move, he's in the building, so we're good. I know we haven't technically announced the Samaje Perine signing, but it is done. But what Seren wanted to know is
who's no longer
who's off the team, Brett? And he said you'll see that on the transaction wire soon. So we'll see Samaje Perine added to the Chiefs' 53-man roster, and then the corresponding move.
Brett not know?
Ooh. Maybe they haven't told the player yet.
He probably knows. Oh.
And he doesn't want to make it in a press conference before they tell the player that you've been released.
Actually, you know what, Brett? Good guy.
That might be the thing.
Good guy.
We're going to take a timeout. We're going to do an abbreviated sports or leisure. in the second segment of the next hour. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about what we heard from Brett Veach. Then we'll play some sports or leisure starting around 11 or 1:25 or so. More Zone next. Hoosier in just a little bit in the next segment. You can jump on if you want to at 913-381-1010. But we want to talk about the things we heard from Brett Veach. Certainly, Soren and Curtis will get deeper into the conversation that Brett Veach was having with the media there in the Q&A and the Zoom. But a few things that to me were takeaways from that. Talking about Kadarius Toney. I'd have to go back and look, but I'd love somebody to go and count. Maybe K-Dog can do this, although he's probably cutting up a lot of clips right now. But somebody go back and listen how many times when Brett Veach was talking about Toney said off-season.
Yeah.
Somebody go and count that for me, because it's the thing that I've been harping on the entire off-season is what in the hell is Kadarius Toney doing by not showing up, by not doing the workouts with the team. And Brett Veach saying there are some injuries that you can't control. You show up to training camp, you're returning a punt, you hurt your knees. Talking about last year.
Yeah.
And he said, but also you can turn bad luck into good luck. Things you do in the off season. He's working through that.
Yeah.
And he needs to tighten up that off-season stuff, and he'll make plays for some team. Let's see. There'd be things that he would do differently, especially with the off-season stuff. Talking to Kadarius Toney, saying, talking with him that, there would be some things that he would do differently, especially with the off-season stuff. What was he doing?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, he thought he had a job and didn't have to show up and just took the entire off-season off. Like, that's not how it works, man. You're on a 12-month contract, dude. It's not back in the day when you had to work a second job. You don't have to work a second job playing in the NFL. You're getting $2.5 million this year. Show up. If you want to be a part of the team, show up. Go work out with Patrick Mahomes when he's got people working out. Show up to the voluntary stuff.
He almost sounded disappointed. He's like, it was like a disappointed dad.
Yeah.
Like you have the talent.
Not surprising.
You have the tools. You have the traits.
Right. It's like, why
show up?
Why don't? And when Andy Reid's talked about like Juju, like he gets it. He understands things.
Yeah.
Like, and also, by the way, when he was leads me into the next one when he's talking about Juju. He was saying, that intermediate role with Travis Kelce, he does better than the guys that we have, the feel. He said, Justin's not there yet.
Yeah.
Which goes along with what we talked about. It sort of felt like once Juju was on the team, that meant the end of Justin Ross for this year. He's on the practice squad. But when Brett Veach talks about what Juju does and then says, Justin's not there yet, sort of tells you that was kind of an even or either or. If Juju is still on the Patriots, Justin Ross is on the 53-man roster.
Yep.
In my opinion, not on the practice squad. Talking about Nick Bolton and Trey Smith. He talked about Harrison Butker and Creed Humphrey's contract, and then Trey and Bolton. He said, been in conversations with him and Nick. There's still some time there. It's difficult if you have to do 4 deals at the same time, so you have to do it systematically. Creed's was difficult and took some time.
Yeah.
So they expected to have Creed's contract done before it was actually done, so they could probably, in their mind, have already moved on to Trey Smith or Nick Bolton and get that done before the season. But as he said, there's still some time before the season. You got a week before the season starts to get something done. But also, he didn't want to work on 4 contracts at the same time. They did Harrison, then Creed. Who's next? I mean, is it Trey that they're talking to, or is it Nick Bolton? He mentioned that they're having conversations with Trey and Nick. But who's the contract that they're going to start honing in on?
The priority, if you will.
I would say the priority would be Nick Bolton.
Yeah.
Because Nick Jacobs asked Brett Veach, what's the toughest position to develop? From scouting to playing in the NFL, what's the toughest position to develop? And Brett Veach said it's scheme dependent. It's tough to answer because it might be different answers, different schemes. But for us, linebacker is difficult. It's a coach on the field. Yeah. We are very specific with linebackers that we draft and free agents. Nick Bolton's re-signing. Unless they completely feel like they're good with Drew Tranquill and Cochran or Cam Jones or somebody else that they may draft, or Chanel. But when you say, when the first position he mentions, when Nick Jacobs asks him, what's the most difficult position to develop in the NFL, I don't know how many positions I would have got to before I got to linebacker. Honestly. Offensive line,
Edge.
quarterback, edge, wide receiver. I mean, you could go down the list of
a plethora of numbers.
Right, before you got to linebacker. But as he said, in our system with Steve Spagnuolo, that linebacker is a coach on the field.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that's what they love about Nick Bolton. They know it's a coach on the field. Everybody's going to be in the right spot. He'll get there and make the tackle. He's not going to be overly dynamic. He's not JOK. He's not Roquan Smith. He's not, some of these other guys. He's not Fred Warner. But he's what Spags wants, and he puts everybody in the position they're supposed to be. He talked about safety, too, drafting safety and free agents, very specific because the safety is a coach on the field.
Sure.
Linebacker and safety. I mean, I don't know who they're working with next, but it certainly seems like if they're talking about a priority, the priority might be on the difficult position for him to develop, and that being a guy they felt like they've already developed in Nick Bolton. So that was pretty interesting to hear that as a position that's the most difficult to him for this scheme and this team to develop as linebacker.
Yeah, they've spent so much draft capital, high draft capital on linebacker. There
Bolton,
wasn't three,
Chanel,
yeah,
two twos and a three.
Yeah, and the 3 straight drafts,
Yeah.
2 straight drafts over that was.
It was
3 straight drafts?
Gay, Bolton, Chanel, right?
Yeah, that's how it would have broken down.
Yeah. And then nothing this year.
And I don't know if that's anything against Willie Gay as far as, hey, we loved the talent, but maybe he never was as consistent as we thought he might be. I don't know if that's a knock on Leo Chenal at all.
No, I don't think Willie Gay was as good in pass coverage as they thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
They brought in a guy they thought was going to be their tight end, their linebacker that can cover running backs, and he was okay.
If he was, they wouldn't have brought in Drew Tranquil last year.
Yeah, exactly. He was okay, but he wasn't what they thought he was going to be. So, and then what are the other ones that I was looking? The cornerback and D-line says they'll continue to look at that, monitor that, and he said it caused the defensive tackle issues is what it was the question from Soren. You've only got 4 defensive tackles. I mean, is that just how the numbers break out or shook out? Is that because you are lacking some depth or some players there that you would like to have on the team? And he said essentially with the D-line and the defensive tackle, and he said that helped cause the urgency to get Cam. So in his mind, at least the way that I heard it was, we at the defensive tackle spot, we don't have some of the players that we would like to have. Maybe that 3-technique pass rusher. Turk Wharton's had a great camp. Chris Jones is a stud. But we're not getting it from other guys. So now it gave us an urgency to go get Cam, who can slide down, parentheses, who can slide down on the inside and pass rush as a 3-technique defensive tackle. So it increased the urgency there because they weren't seeing that from different guys. And then the Samaje Perine contract. I thought this was interesting. He was asked about the tight end, the defensive end, the cornerback acquisitions. Hendershot, Cam Thomas, and Eric Scott, who they got off waivers. And the first thing he mentioned was the signing of Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
Because he said it's about special teams. And when we're working with Samaje to sign him as our third down running back, he's not going to play special teams. So now, who are we getting to play special teams? Tight end. Who's out there to trade for to play special teams? Tight end. Peyton Hendershot. It can help us take Noah Gray off special teams as well. Thought that was interesting that Samaje Perine signing came before, even though it's not announced yet.
Sure.
But they had made that decision. They're signing Samaje, which means that third running back is not going to play special teams.
Yeah.
Are we going to have 3 tight ends too? Well, okay. Well, then we need somebody to play special teams, and we want to take Noah off special teams because he's going to be more part of the offense. Let's trade for a tight end. That's going to be a special teams player, a 4th tight end, a blocker that another team doesn't covet. Let's do that. Okay, Peyton Hendershot, here you go.
And that was why I think a lot of the questions were around Irv Smith. Well, if you're going to trade for a 4th tight end, why not just roll with Irv Smith? Well, Irv Smith wasn't going to play special teams. And he's not a blocking tight end.
Hendershot's a good special teams player.
Hendershot's a good special teamer and a good blocker. It's more of, I don't want to say it this way, but it's almost more of the Blake Bell mold, right? Is he the best receiving tight end? Is he a better receiving tight end than another player at tight end? No, he's not. But for the 4th tight end spot, what can he bring to your team? Is there something he excels at? And basically, Hendershot excels at special teams.
Yep. And then texting with Tyrann Mathieu. Just texting with Tyrann Mathieu during some of the preseason games when they weren't playing and just checking in on the family. And Tyrann Mathieu signed off with number 21 as a stud. Just randomly out of nowhere, Tyrann Mathieu letting Brett Veach know that Jaden Hicks, guy they got in the 4th round, is a stud. So that's pretty interesting. It's not just around Kansas City we see it and have noticed it, but you got a safety, a guy who plays safety has played at a high level, is seeing a rookie 4th rounder play for the Chiefs and say, hey, Brett, number 21 is a stud. And I agree with that. Any other observations or things you heard from Brett that stood out? Those were the main ones for me. I could be missing one or two that other people thought were big deals. But
the LRZ one I thought was slightly interesting.
We wanted him to look at different opportunities.
Yeah, basically said, hey, LRZ, you ain't going to
find another spot.
Find another spot. That's how I kind of –
Jacksonville makes sense. It's almost the same playbook.
Yeah.
And they play in London twice.
I don't know if you saw
if
this.
he makes the team, he gets to go home twice.
I think they have him labeled as a wide receiver now, by the way.
Well, that was interesting that he said running back or big slot.
Yeah.
And he said he needs to figure out what position he's going to play, running back or big slot. That's a good one. Thank you for pointing that out. I forgot about that. I didn't put a star next to the LRZ saying we wanted him to look at different opportunities.
Yeah, when you hear that, it's
I'm not saying that we're breaking up. I'm just saying that you're okay to seek other relationships.
We're going to make this your last day here at this office today. That's the tenor of that.
Feel free to look around. If you don't find anything, come back, and then we'll let you know what we have. But you seek out other opportunities. I mean, there's opportunities out there. Go seek them.
A lot of fish in the sea.
There are a lot of fish in the sea.
A lot of jaguars in Jacksonville.
There's fish near the ocean. You get closer to the ocean in Jacksonville. I'm just saying, LRZ. And again, if he makes the squad, then 2 times out of the year, he's going to be going to London.
Yeah.
He knows that every single year with Jacksonville, he'll be heading home and playing some of those
Just
games.
put him on the 53. That's when you move him up. That's when you activate him just for those games.
Yep. And then last one, and we'll take a break. Ethan Driscoll. Clear they didn't think they'd get him to the practice squad.
Yeah.
He's on the team because he wasn't clearing waivers. When he says he's got rare physical traits, struggled in the first preseason game, but you saw that he got better and better. He said, if we see that, then other teams are seeing that. Yeah. So, and then talked about, we've developed him. We brought him in. We've worked with him. We put in the work. We see his improvement. He's got these rare physical traits. We didn't want to put in that work, put him on waivers, see him go to another team that gets to reap the benefits of the work that we've put in with Ethan Driscoll.
Yeah.
So he wasn't going to clear waivers. That's why he's on the team. And it's interesting, one of the things that Matt Lane said in the 11 o'clock hour, his point was Ethan Driscoll made the 53-man roster. But if somebody gets injured, you're probably going to see Lucas Niang elevated to play that spot rather than Ethan Driscoll just slid in. Game day,
sure,
you might see that. But week of, okay, this guy's going to miss next week. Niang, you're elevated, and now you're playing in that spot. And we'll see what happens with that. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll do one segment of Sports or Leisure, 913-381-810. We're hanging out at Hollywood Casino today. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
Jason Anderson.
All right, so we're going to play an abbreviated sports or leisure today, listening to Brett Veach in the previous hour and talking about things we heard from the Kansas City Chiefs general manager. Some really, really interesting, revealing things that we got from Brett Veach. A lot of good stuff there. I know Soren and Curtis will continue to do a deeper dive on those things. 913-381-0810. It is Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern, best sports bar in Kansas City, with 10 area locations, including Lawrence and Topeka. We give away $25 to Johnny's Tavern here during Sports or Leisure. You get a sports question, you get a leisure question right, you win. Either of them wrong, you lose. And that question is out there available for someone to call in and request. We give out the right answer when somebody has answered correctly, or we have simply run out of time to play. Categories. I had a number of categories for today, but I am going to eliminate at least 2 of them. So I am just going to simply go with college football today.
Ooh.
We have college football category. We have 1 general question in college football, and then we have 2 questions about KU, MU, and K-State.
Nice.
Specific. So because we're cutting down on the time, I'm cutting down on the categories. It's college football today with that starting tonight. That's what we have. KU, MU, K-State, and 1 general in the college football category. Leisure.
We have walk-in music, which is What Is This Closer's walk-in song, and we have potpourri, otherwise known to most people as potpourri.
Oh, that's fine. All right, I am ready to go. Sterling, you good to go?
I am ready to go, Jason.
Dylan, how about you? Yeah, all right. He's excited. It's only 1 segment. All right, let's bring in Matt leading us off here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, a little sports or leisure. Matt, go right ahead. Sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's start with leisure, please.
Ooh, all right, baby. What do you want? Do you want walk-in music for closers or potpourri?
Potpourri.
All right, potpourri. This is kind of fun.
Good.
How many bones do sharks have?
Depends on how many people they've eaten.
That's true.
Yeah.
Frank Clark, not Frank Clark.
Oh.
Yeah, is this
How
a
many
riddle?
It's kind of a riddle. It's kind of a riddle.
Is it a riddle, though? I don't think
Not
it's
really a riddle, but
it's not a riddle. It's just a straightforward
silly.
question. How many bones?
How many bones do sharks have?
It's got teeth like.
Uh,
you can jump like. Look at the bones.
I'm gonna go with none.
None is the correct answer.
Nice
You're right.
job. Well done.
Sharks have no bones.
Look at the bones. Don't look mean to me. It'll do you a treat, Mike. Monty Python. Shut up, Sterling. All right, on to the leisure side, college football. We got a general question, and we have KU, MU, and K-State. 2 questions about each of those schools. What are you thinking?
KU, please.
KU question for you. All right, you're the first in. Let's give you the one that I think is the easiest, but we'll find out. We talked with Devin Neal last week. He's roughly 800 or so yards and 8 touchdowns away from being the all-time leading rusher in yards and touchdowns in KU history. Who would he pass?
I want to say June Henley.
Then you would want to say the correct answer if you really want to say it.
I will go with that.
June Henley is correct. Devin Neal, we are hoping that by the end of the season, we'll have his name in the record book at number 1 and number 1 for rushing yards and touchdowns. That is correct. And that's a winner for Matt. We'll put you on hold, Matt. Get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Rock Chuck.
See, it's just that easy, right? Just that easy.
Get in, get out, and get
Absolutely.
your money.
And speaking of that, for KU fans, if you are going to the KU game tonight, stop in here to Hollywood Casino, show your KU ticket, and they're going to give you $10 pen cash. Just
Boom.
like that. Show them the ticket, you get $10.
We give stuff away, basically. We're out here just trying to give money away to people.
I'm not giving the $10 away.
Well, no, not me personally, but
yeah, Hollywood Casino is going to be doing that. They're giving away the $10. And if you're here before 4 o'clock, you got about let's say 2.5 hours. Let's call it that until they stop the promo and the prize giveaway. Get here before 4 o'clock, and Penn Play members can place a minimum $20 wager on a single ticket at the ESPN Bet counter. So do it at the ESPN Bet counter to participate, and then you will get 2 tickets. And one of those tickets you use to redeem some ESPN Bet merch. Boom, there you go, a little cool merch while supplies last. And then the other ticket, you drop into one of the buckets for a drawing. There are 4 different drawings, and you can choose whichever drawing you want to be a part of, and that would be an Isaiah Pacheco autographed jersey, Bobby Witt autographed picture, Bill Self National Championship basketball from 2022 autograph, and a $1,000 pin bonus play. So there you go. If you're going to the game tonight, you can stop by and just show your ticket and get $10, or you can simply stop by today if you're planning on coming, get here before 4 o'clock, $20 ticket, and then you're going to get some other cool stuff along with it. All right, let's go to Avery next up on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Avery, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Do a closer walk-up song.
Oh, Avery, I actually had a fun potpourri question just for you.
You get him next week.
All right.
Give him a walk-up song.
Walk-in music, we'll go with what was Jonathan Papelbon's walk-in song?
He was shipping up to Boston.
Yes, it was, Avery.
That was the toughest one you had?
Yeah. I wasn't going to go, like, real hard, so I didn't.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
These are all
I know that about you.
Reasonable ones.
Interesting. I think next week you should actually have walk-in music, which is
Christopher Walken.
People have to sing songs in the Christopher Walken impression.
I have it, Sublime with Rome, and it's Jim Rome.
Is that right? Yeah.
I don't practice Santeria.
No.
I got no crystal ball. Rack 'em. That's not Sublime with Rome?
Yeah.
No, that's what I thought it was. Lovin'. That's what I got.
Dear Sublime, you've spent all of me. Signed, $1 million. What a great email.
Rack 'em.
All right, on to the sports side, Avery. We're done with that. We've got a general college football question, then we have KU, MU, K-State questions.
I'll do the KU, I guess.
All right. KU ranked in the preseason top 25, yes or no?
True.
All right, now you got to answer another one. It's the first time since Mark Mangino that they were ranked in the preseason top 25. But before Mark Mangino, who was the last coach to have KU as a preseason top 25 team?
Like maybe like a guy that left and went to Minnesota afterward.
I don't know where he went, man. I mean, you can go to a gas station, you can go to dinner. I don't know where he went directly. I have no idea.
Well, in the interest of time, I'll just say Glenn Mason.
Glenn Mason is correct. It is Glenn Mason, Mark Mangino, and Lance Leipold.
Shockingly not Les Miles.
Yeah, I know, right?
Shockingly.
I thought I was going to get you with Charlie
Weiss.
I thought I was going to get you with Charlie Rice. Charlie Rice. You know, because they did have a decided schematic advantage every time they hit the field, did KU with Charlie Rice. Charlie Rice. You know who called him Charlie Rice?
No, I don't.
Dwayne Bowe.
Oh, really?
Dwayne Bowe. Charlie Rice. So
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Charlie Rice, the offensive coordinator. Avery will put you on hold, get your information. Congratulations, sir.
Super duper.
Absolutely. 913-381-0810. Dylan, anybody up next?
So we got a bit of a predicament here. The last two contestants are both named John. So we can throw it to John, and we'll find out if the contestant is paying attention or not. But I have the one that is first here.
Oh, two Johns.
Two Johns. Big bad John. John, what do you want to start with, sports or leisure?
Sports. Let's do the Mizzou question.
All right, Mizzou question for John. All right, Eli Drinkwitz is the third coach to have Mizzou as a preseason ranked team 11th or higher. Who are the other two coaches? Preseason top 11. Gary Pinkel's one of them.
Was one the founder of the split T formation?
I don't know about that, but I know that he tried to screw over Rudy. I know he tried to do that, man. Nope, I know he tried to screw over Rudy. I know that, and he's certainly not named after the stadium's not named, or the field is not named after him. I know that, but he tried to screw over Rudy, this Green Bay Packer punk. You know, I'm going to leave this school and go to the Packers, and I'm going to go screw over Rudy because Air Parsons promised me something.
No, it's
not.
God, the guy was AD like in the 90s.
He coached the Packers and Notre Dame, and tried to screw over Rudy, but the captains would not allow him to not let Rudy dress. So Rudy got to dress that last game, and he got a sack.
I know
he's sack.
That's a good point right here.
Thank you,
Jason.
Yep, took over for Era.
I'm not going to get it. This is going to kill me after the fact.
Well, if something is special, it could be, or if something. Oh man, that steak was so good. It was. You got that, Sterling?
What'd you say, Jason? He's whispering to me. He's whispering sweet nothings into my microphone.
Whisper it to you.
Come
on, Dan. I mean, John.
I'm at a blank. I really.
Oh, dude, if you get this right, man, it'd be so divine. If you get this, man, come on. You get $25.
Oh, Dan Devine.
Oh, what? Oh, you got it. You got it. Nice job. Nice job. Well done. Dan Devine is correct. Well done. To hell with Devine. All right? If we don't score, Rudy can't play. We got to run the play, man. On to Leisure with Sterling.
All right. John, we got Potpourri, and we have walk-in music, which are closers' walk-in songs.
I'm going to have to do Potpourri because I don't think I know the walk-in song.
All right. Who directed the 1994 film Pulp Fiction?
Oh, wow.
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
There you go. Nice
Nails.
job. Yeah. Who got screwed at the Oscars for Best Director? Quentin Tarantino. That's also the correct answer. John, we'll put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations. Boy, we are just on a roll here.
Did you know that Don Farrow is actually a member of my fraternity? Fun fact for you. And he also is the creator of the split T formation.
But
Don
here's
Farrow,
the thing.
Great guy.
I actually knew that he was a member of your fraternity.
I've told you probably before.
No, I'm just lying. I had no idea. And even if you told me, I would have forgotten. So
I think it's the first time I've ever said that. So yeah, I didn't think people knew.
Just didn't care. That's probably what it was.
Sorry that I have some connection to the legendary Don Farrow.
I mean, Ashton Kutcher and Kevin Costner are in my fraternity. I mean, so what are we doing here?
Yeah,
right?
but not at your school. They didn't go to Marysville State.
I know they didn't go to Marysville because there isn't a Maryville. It is Maryville. All right, John up next. 913-381-810. John, sports or leisure, what side do you want to start with?
Let's go with Potpourri.
All right, Potpourri. This is kind of fun.
Good.
Which popular soft drink was originally created as a medicine in the 19th century?
Oh, is it too easy? I would say Coca-Cola.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to let you guess again. You're correct. You're right. Yeah, Coca-Cola was originally created as a medicine in the 19th century.
Yeah, because they put actual Coke in there.
Yeah.
Actually put cocaine in there, right?
Why do you think everyone got so much work done back in the day?
That's right. Yeah, I got that. Boy, I feel so much better now. I'm not even in pain at all. Yeah. On to the sports side, we have a general college football question left. We have one MU and two K-State questions. The KU ones, I only did two because we were doing a short one. But what are you thinking?
Well, I'm a KU guy, so this hurts, but I'm going to have to go with the MU question. I knew Dan Fine. Maybe I'll know this one.
Okay. This one might be a little more tough for you if you're an MU fan. I should have given John the other one, and you could have gotten the Dan Devine and Gary Pinkel one. But Brady Cook, how about this? Brady Cook needs a little over 2,000 yards passing this season to move into the top 3 all-time at Mizzou in passing yards. Can you give me, you know what, since you're not a Mizzou fan, I'll just say give me 2 of the top 3. If a Mizzou fan asked, I was going to make him give me all 3 of the top 3. But I'll just say 2 of the top 3 for you.
How about one is Chase Daniel?
That's exactly right. He is number 1. And number 2 was only a few hundred yards behind him.
Oh, Lordy. Because I'm thinking, can I do my thinking out loud?
Yeah, think out loud.
Steve Pasarkowitz, I'm thinking about. Phil Bradley, I'm thinking about.
You need to think much more recent than that.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Let me just say that Chase Daniel did not break this guy's record. This guy came close to breaking Chase Daniel's record. If that makes sense.
Oh, Gabbert? Was Blaine Gabbert, Missouri?
He was 3 years there.
He was, I know the TikTok is playing.
Is the other one?
It's local kid. Still playing in the NFL.
That's who I knew was that one.
Yeah. What do you say? Throw a dart. I know you were thinking out loud. Now you got to answer.
Oh gosh, oh man! He played with Denver. Oh my goodness.
Yes, he did.
He did. Come on.
Yes, and oh my gosh.
What do Keys go in?
Brady? No.
What do Keys go in, John?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
What do keys go? What do keys? What are they used for?
Lock. Drew Lock.
Nailed it.
Drew Lock. Well done. Nice job. Never doubted it for a second. Never doubted it for a
Brad
second.
Smith was the other one. That was I thought Brad Smith was the easier one.
Brad Smith was number 3. That's right. That's a winner, right?
That's a winner.
Yeah. John will put you on hold. Get your information. Congratulations, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, we will take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We will wrap up the show on the other side, hanging out at Hollywood Casino here at the Sportsbook and ESPN Bet with the counter they have here as well. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. But what is fascinating is, Mizzou gets underway tonight, KU underway tonight, K-State underway 6 o'clock on Saturday. You can hear the KU game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB 5:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kick. But we were talking about Brady Cook and needing 2,000 passing yards to move into the top 3 all-time of Mizzou passing yards. So if he has 2,000 passing yards, I think he needs like 20 passing touchdowns, which he had that last year, more than that. He needs about 350 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Everything that he did last year and then some.
Sure.
If he does that, Brady Cook would be top 3 in passing yards, top 3 in passing touchdowns, top 4 in rushing yards for a quarterback, and top 3 in rushing touchdowns for a quarterback.
Absurd.
Brady Cook would end up doing that.
Yeah.
It's just not somebody that look,
you wouldn't think
credit
that.
to him, though, man.
Yeah.
Credit to him for being that guy. It's not somebody you would put in that category that I would think of. Hollywood Casino, where we are at. Look, if you're heading to the KU game, stop by here, show them the ticket. Show them your ticket to the KU game. They're going to give you $10 in pin cash just by having a ticket to the KU game tonight. And you have until 4 o'clock, so 2 more hours, if you're a Penn Play member, to place that $20 wager at the ESPN Bet counter. And you get some ESPN Bet merch and a chance to win one of 4 drawings with some cool memorabilia stuff as well. It's Hollywood Casino. The program is up next.